How you doing, buddy?
Swell. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for coming on. I'm excited to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I've been looking forward to this one for a while, and like I was telling you before the podcast, my favorite part of having you on was somebody else was on the podcast. I can't even recall who. And in the comments section, you said you're like, "This is fucking cool as hell. How do I get in on this?" And somebody was like, "Dude, just hit up Jared." And I saw it. I saw the comment, and I immediately jumped in and was like, "Dude, Andy, you can totally come on." I would have already asked you, but I thought you honestly hated me. Come to find out, you're like, "Nope." You can tell your side of the same interaction, because we had a private discussion in private messenger, and we kind of both had a little weird back and forth where.
Yeah,
I think you said you were afraid to ask because you didn't want to be that guy or something.
I it's the whole it's like a relationship being too forward. You don't want to come off too strong. So I'm like, that almost seems desperate if I go, "Hey, dude, could I be on your podcast?" But the fact that you actually wanted me on here is pretty cool too. To hear that makes me not feel as much of a douchebag.
Not at all, dude. And it's one of those weird things where it's like you guys are afraid to ask. At this point, now that the podcast is established, it's like pretty much everyone I know personally knows I'm doing this, right? Yeah. So it's like if you guys are interested, I'm thinking, oh, well, they'll just reach out now. They know I'm doing it now. If I reach out, it just looks like I'm, being
fishing
pathetic.
For business kind of thing.
Yeah. And it's like, no, it's just so weird how we perceive ourselves and our interactions and things with others, because you clearly are somebody that has some self-respect and some integrity, but also respect for others. And the reason I say this is because there's people I don't fucking know. Never heard their names, never heard of their band before, and they hit me up and they're like, "Hey man, I like your podcast, I want to come on." That's it. Not, "Hey man, I'm a huge fan, this is my name, this is the band I'm in, I love everything I love what you're doing with you know what I mean, like an intro, like here's who I am, I like what you're doing, I'd love to be a part of it someday." No, it's not that at all.
No,
it's like, and then the people that I do know who I would expect to be like, "Dude, I want to come on your podcast," where I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, win." They don't, because they're afraid that they're going to come off like that dude did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucking funny to me, man.
It's really weird, man, because you think of it like this, even though we're the only two people in the room, we're the only two talking, but there are X amount of people out there, so like there's that intimidation factor of, it's like the whole Saint Anger effect. A band is putting themselves out there regardless of pro or con for what they did with that. The fact that they put themselves out there and had the balls to do it. There's things that, there's a point.
I'm going to grab a deuce.
Grab it. You're going to take a deuce?
I'm going to grab you fuck. Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to take a shit.
Yep.
Behind this curtain.
Jared over here is taking a poop.
No, but I think you're onto something with the putting yourself out there thing.
Yeah, I think that in the way that society is right now, with these things, cell phones and hiding behind technology and the detachment of human interaction, I think a lot of people are nervous about that, to step outside of technology and actually sit face to face. Like, for the first time, I finally got to sit down with a local friend, a band friend, and it was Will Marvelous, and it was like the most.
I gotta have him on the podcast,
definitely,
just so we can put it to bed on how the fuck
that's
to
how
pronounce
you say
his
it.
last name.
I asked him when I hung out with
Marvelous.
I'm like, "Dude, how do you say your last name?"
Because everyone says Marvelous.
Yeah.
Somebody say a lot of people are just like Marvelous.
Yeah,
they're like,
that's what I was
it.
doing. I'm like Shaka Khan.
So what is it? Marvelous?
Marvelous. I think
like
now
Amadeus.
You got me second. Yeah,
like Amadeus.
Yes.
Marvelous.
You got me second guessing it now. Shit.
Will, if you're watching this,
comment down below.
Will, if you're watching this, put this in the comments.
But it was
or
really
if anybody
cool.
knows,
Yeah.
put it in the comments.
Yeah, break it up for us.
We don't usually address comments on the podcast at all, but I do actually have the live stream up. So if you guys do put questions in, if one of us has to take a leak or something, that'll be when we address that stuff.
Okay.
Because there's those awkward, like if you got to go take a leak or something.
Yeah.
I'm sitting down here for
I
3
wore
minutes.
a diaper tonight.
Did you?
Yes.
I did too.
Sweet.
Sorry, guys, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But no, it was really cool to be able to sit down with him because, you know, with everything being the way it is right now, lockdown and blah, 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 being able to have that human interaction is such a big thing. And I miss it. I love it. I miss being in customer service because, you know, you have your coworkers, but there's that interaction, BSing with people for like 10 seconds. And if you could bring that little bit of interaction, that joy, that's a huge thing for me. I love that.
Yeah.
You know, so.
No, I think you're onto something with that too, because I have a lot of social interaction now with this podcast.
Yeah.
You know, I'm banging 2-3 out a week. You know, I'm having nice, long, in-depth conversations, thoughtful conversations.
Makes this move.
But I still find myself going, I need to get out of the house and I need to go out into the world.
Oh, yeah.
And just have like brief interactions with other humans.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's something to be said about having great private time and being able to like decompress and be to yourself. And because there's a lot of people that are taking what we're talking about and they went the other way with it.
Yeah.
So they never spent time alone. Like literally the girls we know that are codependent, and some of the guys we know, some of the musicians we know that are codependent.
God, yeah.
Like they go from one relationship to another, and they were never able to spend time with themselves in private. So they're losing their fucking minds during COVID.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
and all I was trying to say, I'll just wrap this up in 2 seconds. There needs to be a balance. And for each person,
Yes.
that ratio of balance is slightly different.
Well,
but there's something to it.
That's the two sides of this is, you know, because of 2020 and how it's managed to royally fuck everything up for everybody. You know, I went through my depressive state with COVID, you know, and just
do you mind?
Oh,
So what happened?
I just out of nowhere.
Before we get into what happened, when did it kick in? So were you good for the first 2 weeks like I was?
No, this was more of I was good for like the first two months, somewhere in there. And then out of nowhere, like it was probably about 3 months. Because
about June is when you...
Yeah, around that time, because even the band, like I told them, I said, I got to take 2 weeks off. I need time to just shut everything off. Like you can ask anybody. I mean, even like automotive stuff. I wasn't working on anybody's stuff. Like I had to just stop.
I think I vaguely remember this.
I had to. There was no other. I did the up and down, but
nice.
There was no.
That's a pro move, right there.
I know. You like that? Eat that, Joe Rogan. So it's in a protein shake for you. Anyway, wow,
that's great.
But no, it was one of those things where it hit me, and I think coinciding with how much everybody has been divided and just the sadness that's going on right now it's a huge thing. And I mean, it has affected everybody, whether they have PTSD or they're a kid that can't go and see their childhood friend because they're stuck at home now.
Right.
You know, and it's such a severe thing, you know, and I think, you know, coupled with the fact of like dealing with anxiety, you know, and just all that other bullshit, you know, it really stacks up on a person. And like even your debt, all that's everything just compiles, and you have other people depending on you for things, and you can't do what you need to do to satisfy that you know, that person with whatever needs it is they acquire, you know. It's just, I know that sounds really like innuendo-ish, but I just mean like if somebody needs something worked on and you can't do it because mentally you just don't have the inspiration to do it, you know?
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a big deal, man. And and I don't know how you had contended with it at all or anything like that, you know?
I did have a breakdown, and it was somewhere around the same time period as you did. It was before I started the podcast. And it's weird because when I start getting depressed, it's very similar to what you described. So it's almost never one major thing. It's a lot of little things that pile up.
Yep.
And then you wake up and it's like you're in a pile of garbage and you don't even know where to start the cleanup because there's just garbage in every direction.
It's a weight.
Yeah.
It's just this weight on your chest.
Yeah, so and that's the way I visualize it. So I try to break it down into the smallest digestible chunks. The biggest ones I can handle, but still if that's still too much, then I break it down into a smaller one. If that's still too much, then I break it down into a smaller one. And luckily it wasn't that bad, because when I started to feel that stress, I was already starting to. So for me, it was really, actually, now that I think about it, it was really during the George Floyd riots.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little breakdown. But that's because I was literally, for the first 2 or 3 nights of those riots, I was out by myself.
Yeah.
Chasing people off. And then the hood showed up and rallied behind me. So for like the next 6 days, 7 days, I was rock solid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I found solace, no pun intended. I found solace in looking at old presidents and military generals who would write in their memoirs. I started reading like old Abraham Lincoln shit from his memoirs in the White House when he would, like, during the Civil War, and, you know, during the day he was the man, you know, and then he would break down in tears behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just was like, okay, like I'll give this its moment for an hour or two each day, but then I got a job to do.
Oh yeah, reality's still there.
And then I had started to get more focused on music again, so I had that little distraction as well. And then the podcast thing was like, the idea had been decided, we're doing a podcast, and so I started like having extra projects to occupy my time. And honestly, where the depression really came in was actually almost like PTSD after the riots, because we were basically at war in this neighborhood. There was some wild shit going down.
Yeah.
Wild shit. So I was fucking fatigued. I was exhausted. I was pushed to my mental limit. I'm not a fucking soldier. You know what I mean? Like, so I wasn't used to that. And it took a couple weeks of kind of the little stuff I just described in order for me to kind of get back to normal.
Yep.
And, yeah, for me, I got really lucky that I had the right timing of these other things going on to help me through that. Because whenever I got depressed, it was always a combination of those other things and then not having music as an outlet, combined with social isolation, which was also a byproduct of the depression. Social isolation. So it's cyclical, you know, and you got to break the cycle. You got to find one thing you can fix.
Yep.
You know, and they say it's like lack of exercise, bad diet, poor sleeping habits. There's a list of things.
Oh, that's all me.
Just pick one of those things and start there, and then move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And by the time you get through the list, you won't be depressed anymore. I promise. I know that sounds like I'm oversimplifying it, but I swear to God, it really is that easy.
Well, but you know,
just pick one. Start there.
Yeah. And for me too, you know, I mean, other people may see this as a religious thing or whatever it may be, but I always looked at it as like the Northern Star. There's always this line that I follow, and that line is to keep me on track with how I want my life to go. What
is that line?
That line is basically home. That is what I come back to. That I want to be a good person. I want to make people smile. I want to promote positivity or just being good people. I want that. I love that. I thrive on that. You know, I use myself as the kind of the whipping boy, so to speak, for making people laugh. Not in a ridiculing way, but I mean, like, if I can do something stupid that'll put a smile on somebody's face, done. That's all I care about. I don't give a shit what that. Oh, you all right? No, I'm good, man. I'm cool. But it's one of them things where when I stray off, like, you know, being bummed out about things or whatever, I always remember that, hey, you know what? You may feel this way right now, but you know damn well 2 days ago or a day ago you felt like this. So I try to just focus on that and get myself back mentally where I want to be, you know? And like what you talked about with like doing the podcast and the music and this and that, I mean, I'm grateful that I have what I have at home to put forth the ability to record You know, the drum stuff, we were talking about that a little bit before they started this. And then the band, you know, having those three outlets, and then my other interests, you know, and obviously, you know, first and foremost, because I got to say that so she doesn't kick my ass, my wife, you know, I mean, let's just go to the road, you know, but having those things to keep me at bay, so to speak, mentally, you know, it helps big time.
Right.
You know, so, but yeah, that's my shtick.
Speaking of, you mentioned the drumming videos and the bands and stuff. Let's touch base on that real quick here. So you play guitar for Hex Vortices.
Yep,
I said that correct.
Absolutely.
You want to hear something funny?
What you got?
I'm not dyslexic in any way. However, I am one of those guys who reads things really fast.
Yeah.
Borderline speed reads.
Yep.
For 2 years, I swear to God, your band's name was Hex Vorticles.
Vorticles?
I swear to God, there was an L in there for 2 years, and when people would say Hex Vortices, I would laugh and I'd go, "You fucking idiots! There's an L in there." And then
it's just all blended together.
Because I speed read so much.
Yeah.
Like I digest information so fast, and I'm always taking in shit that like that's always been one of my flaws, is like I need to slow down, because when I fuck up and make errors, it's because I'm moving too fast. Blah, you know, yeah, right.
100 mile an hour. You.
Yeah, I got to slow down. So, but I just thought that was fucking hilarious, because all of a sudden one time somebody was like, I actually said that out loud finally one time.
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, it's not," and "No, there isn't." And I was like, "Yes, there is." And they were like, "Really?" Because I have their sticker on my guitar case right now. Look.
I'm flattered that somebody
turned
has
around
a
and
fucking
looked.
sticker on their case.
And and dude, it was actually a pretty big musician too. I can't remember who it was, but I looked at it and I was like, "Holy fucking shit. I've been saying this wrong or thinking wrong the whole time."
Oh, it took me a while, dude. I mean, when
I feel so stupid.
I wouldn't feel stupid.
Where's the name come from? That's what I'm getting at.
What a Hex Vortices is basically, it is a storm on Saturn, and this is in Tom Croxton's words. It is a fuck all storm that if you were to transplant it onto Earth, it would decimate the entire Earth. So basically, we're just a massive storm. And when you look at the way that Tom words things, the way we put them on our page and whatnot, it's basically, that's the whole kind of premise behind our music. I mean, it's pissed off. It's very angry. It's not like that 15-year-old kid that had a bunch of angst. I mean, it's talking about shit that's going on right now. I mean,
that's funny, because that's exactly what I was going to reference.
Yeah.
So like the teenagers with all the angst. You're saying
no, we're definitely not that.
So I know what it is. So it's not teenage angst. It's bitter old man angst.
Yes. Get off my lawn.
It's you're pissed off at the young guys because you can't eat Taco Bell and do Jaeger shots all night anymore.
Fuck that. I live right by a Taco Bell. I keep them in business. Me and my wife.
Taco Bell is one of my favorite things.
It's
I don't care how bad it is.
I don't care.
It's amazing, and I love it.
If I knew that my taste buds wouldn't discriminate after a while and be like, all right, you need something else that'll give you some substance, I would just eat Taco Bell all the time. Like, I bring back the Santa Fe chalupa, please. I want my black beans. This is like 2002.
You're speaking my wife's language. Right
yes.
Now.
Yes.
How long have you been married, by the way?
God, what are we on? We got married in June of 17, so 3 years.
Holy shit. So you got married right before I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, June of 17.
So you got married literally like barely a year before I did, like 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, about 8 months. Because we got married in April of 2018.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah, because we just had our 2 year.
Yeah, because I met Alicia.
Did you get sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead. What were you going to ask?
I was just going to ask you about all the stupid questions you get as a newlywed. Like, I got so many of them. And it was funny because, like, Kate and I's answers were so, like, apathetic to these questions. So, like, I'll just try to rattle off a few, and I want to see how you responded to them. So, like, does it feel any different being married now?
Yep.
How'd you respond to it?
Nope. Still just...
That's exactly.
I like, fart in bed. And really, it is no different.
I literally, Kate and I had the same answer, unrehearsed.
Yeah,
we didn't talk about this. Somebody actually were like, "Wow, you guys are made for each other." And I remember going, "Why?" And they were like, "Because that's almost verbatim what she said," which was somebody's like, so is it weird being married, or how does it feel to be something like that? And I was like, honestly, no, nothing's different. It was a much bigger step and obligation for us to buy a house together than it was to get married. And it's like getting married was just like a formality. It was just like it was a fun celebration.
Yeah.
And it was like some cool paperwork to get us a little break on our taxes, which honestly I don't really even think it's working. I think we pay more in taxes now somehow. I need a better accountant, but yeah. Yeah, just like I don't know, man. People were asking me before the wedding, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, "No." Like, if you're nervous right before your wedding, don't get married.
Dude, yeah. Well, I think the nervousness, maybe this is me rationalizing somebody asking that, but like, I think the nervousness is more directed towards like the anticipation, the excitement, like, oh my God, maybe this person's been waiting their whole life to get married, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I definitely got anxious because I hate waiting around for shit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. Getting married is a lot like playing a concert.
Oh.
It's a lot of hurry up and wait.
And then
you got to be here at 3:30, and then you're there at 3:30, and then okay, you're gonna wait here for 20 minutes until this person shows up. It's like, God, why did I have to be here at 3:30? I could have been here in. Dude, the whole fucking night is like that.
My wife found this bridge over in New Brighton, that beautiful looking bridge, right? It looks great.
You got married here in Minnesota?
Oh yeah.
We went to Jamaica.
Lucky, but she wanted me to be there so she would show with the photographer and we'd have a first look photo. All right. This is totally cool for anyone with hair on their head, but for a bald bastard like me standing on a bridge with water, right? 45 minutes. It is like 95 degrees outside. Okay. And I cooked. I was so burnt. Like I was overheating the whole wedding. And then I finally found a couch that nobody could see me on, so I went and hid on that for about a half hour and just laid there to kind of just mellow out. Like, dude,
that is so funny, dude.
What we do for love.
We got lucky. We got lucky and we got cursed. So we got married April 20th, and it was during that snowstorm. You remember that snowstorm a few years ago that hit, that huge one? So for and I think I'm just realizing this now as I'm talking to you. We looked at it as like, fuck, we got really fucked on that because that snowstorm came in. We were a day late for our own wedding.
Oh.
Or our own wedding trip, right?
Yeah.
Because our flight got delayed by a day. But at the same time, I'm thinking, man, if we would have had our wedding in Minnesota, it would have been ruined. So, yeah, we were a day late, but we got to go to a tropical fucking paradise and get married in a dream scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you're not super rich. Like, you don't have to be a millionaire to go get married in Jamaica.
No.
Like it's literally, it was cheaper, and we're not poor. Like, we're not as wealthy as we used to be. Like, fucking 10 years ago, I was balling out of control. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah.
But
Karen.
But we were able to do 2 weeks in Jamaica, which was, we kind of did three things. The first 5, 6, 7 days, whatever it was kind of a family vacation with a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our wedding party. And then we got married, and then we went on a honeymoon, which was like 7 days by ourselves.
Yep.
It was 2 weeks, and the whole thing was cheaper than just a wedding in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if we would have tried to get married here, just the wedding would have been 10 to 15 grand.
Oh yeah, and we were
no honeymoon,
a little over that.
No reception, no, like, just because of when we wanted to get married, and you know what I mean. Like, dude, it was fucking brutal. It was brutal. So, in many ways, it worked out, bro. We got fucking lucky, man. We got lucky. Yeah. And now we have an excuse to get out of Minnesota and go to Jamaica for our anniversary, which we can celebrate 2 months early if we fucking choose to.
Exactly.
So one year, 1 year we're pissed off. It's fucking February. It sucks in Minnesota.
We're leaving.
We're going to Jamaica. 2 weeks. If we time it right.
Yeah.
When you get back, we're having like an early spring, right? So you get back at 70 degrees in Minnesota.
Well, at the rate we're going. Yeah. What I thought there was what else was with the band thing? You had asked about the band name. I thought there was something else you had asked me. Do you remember it all?
Well, I asked you what the name meant, and then yeah, I kind of was curious. How did that band start? Because I'm trying to rack my brain, and I can't remember other than Gravesig, which you're no longer in, correct?
That is correct.
What's up with that? Is it just a personal thing?
It was one of the. It really, honestly, what it came down to was that I had already had Hex, and I'll give the rundown of how Hex kicked off.
Okay.
Like with me 100%, and then with the changes.
Well, because I can't, other than Gravesig, I can't remember what bands you were in before that, and that's
oh wow,
that's my point. Is like you and I have known each other for so fucking long.
Yeah,
and I, for some reason, and same thing. Like you before the podcast, you were asking me. You were like, "So wait, which bands were you in, other than Dying Euphoria?"
Yeah,
and it's the same thing. So it's like I know of these two. But I can't think of any of the bands before that, and it's killing me.
You're gonna be amazed by this, and some of you might also.
Okay,
all right. So I remember getting the CD of Rivkit, and we're talking like
you were in Rivkit.
I was in Rivkit, and we're talking like 2003 Rivkit, somewhere in there. Now, prior to that, what was it? It was Rivkit, and then I believe To the Burning End, and that was with Eric Kais and his brother Ryan. And then Andy Markham, and I can't remember who else. Colton. I'm sorry, Colton. But yeah, there was that because we had played a show together at a VFW up in like somewhere by St. Cloud. But anyway, and then from there, I had basically kind of filled in for Section Hate, if you remember them at all.
I do remember that band.
Yep. And then the opportunity came to play bass for Cold Colors.
In fact, somebody who was on the podcast was in Section Hate.
Oh God, I'm trying to think. Is there Greg, Nate, Dan Nelson, Logan, I'm Ron Burgundy.
I can't recall.
But I joined up with Cold Colors, and then Kyle Skokvist had Four Blood starting, and that's right. That's how we ended up becoming acquaintances at that point. And then,
we knew each other before then, but that's when we started hanging out.
I'm trying to think of from what though, because I don't remember what would have. Because
we were just mingling in the scene.
Yes,
you know what I mean. So like we knew each other, knew of each other, but we like started hanging out when I started filling in for Dying Euphoria.
Yep.
Because of your connection in For Blood to Kyle, which had the connection to Jeremy, which was in Dying Euphoria. And then I remember you and I were hanging out the night Alex Kelly came in and got the job in The Body Beneath.
Oh, God.
I remember this. I remember that distinctly. In fact, I think you were sitting there working on a small engine on a table in like your kitchen or your dining room, or maybe
holy
it was
shit!
No. It wasn't even at your house. It was at Tim's, my old bass player.
What was I doing?
You guys were tinkering with something.
Oh! I remember now.
Or were you working on a guitar?
I think I was working on a guitar. Tim was working on something. Yeah, I remember this now because it was a house that it was Tim, Alex.
This is just before I stopped remembering everything. This is over 10 years ago. You know this.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
This is 12 years ago.
This was Frisky Andy. This is the Frisky Andy version. I had a lot of fun back then, but
we all did.
Oh my God! But no, man. I joined up with Kyle and Sean, and we had Four Blood, and then from Four Blood, I had quit for a little bit, and I had actually joined up with a cover band called Surly Jones, and that was actually a good time because there was a lot of '70s stuff that I liked, and then Climactic played bass.
Also a cool bass band name.
I know, '70s station wagon rock. It was awesome. So, I went from that to playing bass in Climactic, and then I stepped down from Climactic. Just different paths, different interests, stuff like that. And then when Climactic, or not Climactic, but when I started writing some riffs, this is about...
That's also a cool band name, by the way.
I know. I always liked Climactic. Kyle did a really good job at Climactic.
I was always Four Blood. Like, you guys always had cool band names.
Yeah.
All the band names you were in were cool band names.
We weren't. I still actually
Section Hate. I mean, you just named out all. There's not one band name in there that's a shitty band name,
except for the shitty Beatles. Damn it!
But you
they
got
definitely
lucky.
suck.
And you didn't come up with any of those. Those were all.
None of those
Somebody
are mine.
else?
Nope, those were.
Man, you got lucky, bro.
You know what it was? Andy Mertz, if you remember Andy Mertz.
I know the name and I recognize the name. I know that person, but
He used
I
to
can't.
videotape everybody. Like everybody.
Did he have a thin black mustache?
No. He was always a clean shave and maybe a goatee once in a while. But Andy
Sorry,
actually
Andy.
wrote.
I apologize, buddy.
Oh, it's all good. Oh, him? Oh, I'll apologize for him. Or I'll accept your apology for him.
On his behalf.
Yes, behalf. So Andy Mertz had written down on a notepad. We all were sitting there in the space, and we'd written names out. And he had like Out for Blood and something Blood, and then For Blood was on there. It was kind of like the Lars Ulrich swiping Metallica, and that was it. It ended up flowing, and it worked out really well. And I always really liked that name. And then, but as far as for the Hex Vortices stuff, like I started jamming on riffs. What would have been about 2013, somewhere in there, 14, and I had bumped into Dan Nelson, and he was in Cold Storage, bass player for Cold Storage. Well, just bumped into each other randomly at Guitar Center, and we ended up going and grabbing a bite to eat at Grumpy's, and we were talking ideas and this and that, and he still to this day says that he didn't want to start, or that he wanted, no, he says that he never said he wanted to start up like a cover band to play like Cyndi Lauper and stuff, which is bullshit because he totally said that to me. But him and I actually started the creative process of getting a band together. And Nick Wellner, as some of you might know, he was part of After the Burial,
yeah,
and then High Hopes, and Sean Scott, who sang for the tail end of Devil Inside's career, and then also For Blood.
yeah.
They were in it for a while, and then they had both stepped down pretty much within like 2 hours of each other. And Dan and I were going, well, now what? And I had stopped in to see Kyle at the pawn shop, and he goes, "Hey, dude, did you hear about Elder God?" "No, what's up?" He goes, "Tom just called me and said that they broke up." I'm like, "What's Tom's number?" And that was it. I got a hold of him, and we ended up jamming. And I think like within that first week or two, we ended up writing the song Warbound that's on our album and all that. I mean, just.
Do you have it online?
Yeah, everything.
Should we play it?
Yeah, go for
Are
it.
you guys signed? Is it licensed?
I mean, we're on Will's label, Zero Budget Records. We're on Twin Town Tyrant. So it's not anything that would be.
You don't think I'll get flagged?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, we have our stuff on DistroKid like every other.
Yeah, but I get flagged. And it's not if you're signed; it's if you're licensed.
All right, we are not going to flag. But if you guys would like to check out the band, please go to www.
No, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Facebook.com/org.
Just pull it up. Is it on YouTube or should I pull up iTunes?
You can. It's on iTunes.
Is it on YouTube though?
Yes.
Do you have any videos on YouTube?
Yes.
Hi-fi? Like I don't care if the video's hi-fi, but is the audio hi-fi?
Yeah. Because our YouTube does their they make up. It's really weird. I don't like the way that YouTube does this. Is that they make up almost like an alternative page for your album, so people are viewing that, but they're not seeing your actual YouTube page, and it's really frustrating. I don't like that.
You guys are on here though?
Yes. And I don't like the way that Facebook is pulling this bullshit with these algorithms. You got to pay to advertise on it.
Yeah, it's basically they don't like it if you. Ooh, I'll give you a sub. You guys can sub back. We can commit the ultimate sin of sub for sub.
Yes,
it's the ultimate YouTube sin.
I'd love a sub.
So it looks like you guys are almost at 100 subs. You know, when you get your 100 subs, you can get your own URL and name this.
Shut the front door.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I'll show you. Hold on.
Well, for only $19.95 today, you guys
only need 6 subs.
Yeah.
If anybody's watching this right now, or when you do watch it, because people do actually watch us, surprisingly, go to. I'm about to share it, but go to Hex Vortices on YouTube. I'm about to share the page. Go there, sub. Let's get them over 100 so they can get their own custom URL. Because that's nice. Because then you can just copy and paste it and stick that all over the place. Yeah, it's a weird thing. So let's see. Which one should we play?
You know what?
You mentioned what song did you mention?
I mentioned Warbound, but actually, if you guys want to hear, this is actually very recently recorded. This is going to be on our EP that we're going to be putting out. We're putting out a 5-song EP.
So this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Called Consequence.
This should work perfectly fine. In theory. In theorem.
Yeah, we recorded the drums, my guitar, and vocals at my house, and then Matt and Alan remotely recorded their stuff at their place, sent it to me, and then I'm the one mixing and mastering all this.
Okay. Here, I'm going to turn it up for him. I just love the old straight-legged thrash.
I'm pretty much programmed.
Do you know what I mean?
To write at 185.
Do you know what I mean though when I say straight-legged?
Yes. Oh yeah. That's just what I feel. You know. But this, honestly, this one was actually written by Matt, and this is me doing the solo. But he's actually made me a better player because he's a very, very skilled guitar player.
Who's drumming?
Tom Croxton. So metal.
I like it though, dude.
No,
it's just that straight up old school thrash, man.
It's, you know, the thing for me too is we don't have a lyric video out for it or anything, but the song that we recently, well, all right, how it worked was that there was a song that we haven't released yet, and Matt had accidentally played the riff. I don't want to say he played it wrong, but it was just off. And then all of a sudden, Tom looked at him and just started doing this real thrashy beat, typical like scat beat, I think they call it or whatever. You know, that boom, tun, 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 tun. And I looked at him and I said, "All right, stop, hold on. Whatever you just did, redo it. Let me record it." So I recorded, 40 seconds of it, and it was awesome. I went home and I think it was that Friday or that Saturday. I was so pissed off. There was seeing the headlines and seeing the way people are acting and treating each other and the way that, the right and the left are acting and everything. It just compiled into one really shitty day for me. And I sat down and I took Tom's drums, and as a demo, I had taken them and spliced them and started playing the riff, recorded my guitar part, and then all of a sudden, like, shit just started rolling. And I ended up that day, I wrote a full song. I had lyrics that came out right then and there. I sang everything, recorded it, sent it to the guys, and I said, we need to put this out now. And it was just because it had such a, when you hear it, it's so pissed off. It sounds like you're playing Slayer's Undisputed Attitudes. Like that album, even though it's a bunch of covers except for Gemini, it's just angry. It's absolutely angry, and it feels so good to be able to say that stuff and get it out there. I mean, we're not Rage Against the Machine. We're not Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. I don't care about people wanting to hear my personal feelings. I mean, this is different, but right. I don't write music to tell people who to vote for or tell people to be good people or this and that. Whatever's on my mind just comes out. And it's the same thing for Tom. Tom and I, we write the lyrics pretty much for the band, and we're just pissed off, man.
I know what you mean.
It feels, but it's cathartic. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I used a big word, but it's but it's cathartic for an individual to be able to do that, to get that off their chest. Because I mean,
Right.
you know, like we talked about earlier, you know, everyone's got a breaking point, and I mean, dude, sometimes a grown man either needs to smash something or bawl his eyes out, and having that ability to be able to express myself musically is huge.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's one thing maybe some people, you know, lose track of or don't realize it until they're in that moment. But to have that, that's huge, man.
Now that was your motivation for this song. Is that where you go emotionally to write most of your music, or is that just kind of where you were at that moment?
At that moment, I'm not really, you know, like there's an acquaintance, I would say, of mine that he had reached out on the Crowbar page on Facebook saying, hey, if anybody's going to the First Ave show, if you could get a hold of me, or if you could get me a couple pictures or something, you know, that'd be awesome. I said, do it. I'm on it. I'll hook you up. And I got a bunch of pictures. I took a bunch of video, sent it to him that night. Super grateful. Guy was going through stage 4 cancer.
Damn.
All right. So you fast forward, and him and I had kept contact, always joking around, commenting on shit on Facebook, sharing Crowbar stuff. And he had said that it's getting him. He's going downhill, losing his health. So finally, last summer, I was able to go over there and actually physically meet him. You know, and I mean, it's anyone that's lost anybody to any sort of debilitating disease or just sickness, it's hard, you know, and for that to be the first time for me to meet him was hard, you know, but I actually went home and I have this tune that I haven't really released to anybody. I intend on finishing it and putting it out there, but it's basically talking about him leaving, you know, and it felt really good. And I wish I would have had it done before he passed, you know, but it was, that goes back to what my purpose is. You know, I'm not going to be the president. I'm not going to be a hero of this and that. I'm not doing anything special. But the fact that I did something for somebody and that made their day, that's what matters most.
Right.
Putting the selfishness aside and doing something for somebody in a positive form. That's
sure.
big.
For sure, man. And I think that's why a lot of us even do music, you know, is like, you know, because I've kind of joked, and I'm not entirely joking, but I say things like, you know, because there's a running theme. There seems to be running themes through this podcast, you know, different moods I'm in from time to time. At the beginning, it was all about, you know, like the mood I was in at that time, which is just like, you know, seize the day, you know, fucking stop being a victim, you know, fucking pull up your bootstraps, which is a permanent philosophy of mine, but I was especially fired up with that mantra at the beginning of the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Recently it's been, as I've had more and more musicians on, and I'm not attacking any of the musicians that have been on the podcast. If you guys have been on and you're watching this now, I'm not attacking you. I'm not trying to make you feel bad.
But you don't have a cool beard like me.
We'll get to this sweet ass beard that you got going. But you and I talked about this before the podcast. It's like, I feel bad because a lot of these musicians say, you know, I don't do it for the money, or I understand I'm not going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that fascinating because some of them I can tell are doing it because they want to sound, and this is not just for people that have been on my podcast. This is for anybody that says like, oh, I don't do it for the money. Like I feel like that when guys say that, some of us are just trying to sound like artistic because it's like the cool thing to say.
Yeah.
And then I can tell other people say it because they've just come to the conclusion that they're never going to get paid. And I joke and say in response to that, like, here's the thing, is like, we all do it for either money, bitches, or fame. And here's why. Because if you're not doing it for money, bitches, or fame, then you would never leave your basement. You would never put it on YouTube. If it was really just about the music, then you would never share it with anyone. However, there is this, like, because those are three things, right? There's like this third and a half reason you do it, which is that your life was changed by a musician and you want to be able to do that for somebody else. but that still sort of falls under the fame category. You see why I say like third and
Absolutely.
a half? So, but I know exactly what you mean though, dude, because I actually remember thinking that at 12, even when I decided I wanted to be a musician.
Mhm.
Like, I was like, this feels right. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I had already kind of decided, like, okay, maybe sports isn't the thing for me. Even though I was awesome at sports when I was that age.
Mhm.
It was like something about music seems more legit. And I literally said, like, if I can go out there and inspire one kid
Mhm.
to play music and do something with their lives, even if they don't make $1 million at it, right? Like, they just love music so much, it gives them something truly constructive
Mhm.
instead of ending up a criminal or in the streets, because that's what music did for me.
Yep.
I was headed down a path, dude. I was on probation at 12 years old. Like, I went to juvie. I got put in a foster home. Like, I got taken from my mom for a little bit. Like, I was a bad fucking kid,
Mhm.
right? Well, I wasn't really that bad of a kid, but like in current society, the way the system is set up,
Yeah.
like I was headed down a bad path. That's what I should say. And the system is set up so easily to, once you're in it, it's almost impossible to escape.
Yeah.
I got lucky. I had music. So when I got out of boarding school, I remember saying, I'm never getting in trouble again. Like, that shit was so bad that like every day when I get home from school, all I'm doing is going home and playing guitar.
Yep.
And I still had a couple run-ins, like a couple problems at school, a couple issues with a couple cops as a teenager, and almost ended up right back in the same spot. But before it got bad, I was able to be like, okay, well, that's one strike. Let's go home and not fuck up again.
Yep.
So if I was just said, if I could do that for one person, and that's just the way I looked at it, because that's the way I resonated with it, whether it's somebody fucking dying or some fucking person who they ain't got shit to identify with, and for some reason your lyrics just sum up the way that they're feeling about whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, it's awesome. And there is that as a major motivation for a lot of us to start doing it. But that still kind of falls under that fame category. Like, you're still doing it for some sort of public interaction. You know what I mean? So it's not just for the music. And that's what I think that statement's really about, is like, it's not just because you love music. Like,
well, think of it like this. We have a lot of friends over the years that toured their ass off, right? They're touring, they're on a smaller label, but it's still something more than I have or you have, whatever.
Say that again?
So we have friends, acquaintances, whatever it may be. I know I kind of added to that, but we know people that have been on toured the East and the West Coast.
Yeah, I've had several
South
of them
America.
on the podcast. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, Copy is a great one. Great example. And he's
and there's other like you said, there's other ones that are like huge internationally and no one knows who they are here.
Exactly. And that's like I have like a brain full of things I'll touch on. But the wanting to tour, I look at where my life was and where it's at now, and I have to pick and choose what my battles are, because I have a full-time job. My life is revolved around what I make per hour, because that's just the reality of it. That's the American way. Bury yourself in debt and have fun getting out of it. But as far as like with like the money in music, I don't worry about the money, because that's what I go to work for every day. Once music turns into a job, that's when I quit doing it. Because when I have to bust my ass in a negative aspect, that's when I have you can ask anybody that knows me. As soon as something goes south, I'm out. I want no part of it, because I don't want that taken from me, because I've worked so hard to get to this point of being able to play.
Let me ask you something about that, because I was hanging out with the drummer from the Goodyear Pimps a while back. It was a long time ago, but it's funny. I asked him one question, and he didn't answer it. He gave me this answer, but it was okay, because it was like, even though that's not the question I asked, it was still kind of profound.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what my question was, but I remember his answer. He said, well, I'd rather swing a drumstick than swing a hammer.
Yep.
And that resonated with me so hard, because like all those negative aspects and like when music becomes work, for me, I knew this is what I was supposed to be doing. And it was the same thing with sports. When I was a little kid and I would show up to baseball practice, I remember being in the car and I said, Mom, you know how I know I love baseball more than everybody? on the team. And she goes, why? And I go, because I love going to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with it, with the music business. I love going into the studio. I love going to rehearsal. I love writing the songs. I love the pre-production process, like what I played for you before the podcast. I love playing shows. Whereas in baseball and in music, a lot of guys only like the game or the show.
They don't want to do the work.
And for me, where I'm going with this, to try to, I don't want to step on your thing. I want you to keep going. But my point is like, I'm going to experience all of that negativity and that fucking, this is becoming laborsome and like irritating and all that at a day job. Yeah. So that's swinging a hammer.
Yep.
I'd rather swing a drumstick and deal with all that shit than swing a hammer and deal with all that shit.
Yep.
So for me, that's how I reconciled that, because you're never going to be in an ideal situation, but I'm not trying to say you're wrong in your logic, because I understand the idea of like, no, I got to deal with that shit everywhere else. The music is therapy from all that. So I don't want to deal with that once it gets too much, once there's too much work involved.
Yeah.
That's not why I do music. So I can respect that, but those are the guys that need to just say that. Like, I don't do music to be a professional. I do music for therapy.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's fine then. But then those guys, and you're not one of them. I'm not calling you out. I'm not calling anybody out. The point is like, we know these people though that say shit like this, but then they bitch that they're still opening. They bitch that their band isn't getting more exposure. They're jealous that the other bands are opening for the national acts. And it's like, motherfuckers, because they're running a business and you're doing it for therapy. Like, understand where you're at in the actual business, music business, and the totem pole. Yep. There's a place for you, and we will have you on the bill. But the guys who get the better bills are the guys who are putting in the work. They're dealing with all that shit. And I'm not saying you're one of those guys.
No, it's fine. I don't have a rebuttal.
But you know what I mean, though.
Absolutely.
Because that's where I'm getting frustrated.
My past with the bands that I have, the members that I became friends with because of it and everything, that has a place and time in my life. But then now, with when decisions were made that I didn't agree with, and I felt like it just wasn't my future in that situation, that's when it was time to jet. Now, like with Hex, I've seen this since day one, since the day that I bought my Randall head and my Sonic cabinet from Andy Crow. That was it. That was the beginning.
Right.
And I started writing Revival Fires and Bitter End and all them songs you hear on the album. And so I've been working my ass off since 2013, 14, whatever. I'm now to the point where I'm recording it, I'm mixing it, I'm mastering it, I'm writing riffs, I'm writing lyrics, I'm growing as a guitar player. And all throughout that, Tom, myself, Dan, we've all had those moments where we, pissed off, piss and vinegar. We're angry about this. And why are you making, like for me, it's always been, why am I making a big deal out of something so minuscule? But it's because it matters. And when us guys in the band collectively get pissed off about a situation that's going on or a decision to be made or whatever, if somebody feels it strong about it, there's something there,
It's because they care.
Capital, yeah, because we all give a shit. And this is collectively the most tightest band I've ever been in. And I'm very grateful.
You're saying like interpersonally.
Yes.
Like the way you guys think.
All four of us.
The chemistry.
It's perfect. It's
the communication.
Yes.
Do you agree with my philosophy that, because a lot of guys, Aaron touched on this when he was on the podcast. I think it was Aaron. And it's something that I've also tried to, because we've all been in bands where fucking there's the one guy who's like, I just don't want to deal with the fighting and the drama, and fuck, we could have been that guy at one point in time.
Possibly, yeah.
But I came to the realization you can't create fire without a little friction. Find me one band that makes prolific music that didn't fight like cats and fucking dogs, and I will eat my own ass. Right? Like,
I would like to see that.
Then find me one band.
Done.
Me one band that makes
no,
truly
I want to see you be able to get into that position.
And I'll figure it out if you find me one band that created prolific music, that had fire.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't have friction.
Pink Floyd, dude. Look at that.
Megadeth, Metallica,
Yep, every
fucking
one of them.
the Beatles, Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
Led Zeppelin would be the closest one.
Yeah.
Because they really didn't fight that much, but they had drama and inner turmoil, and they did fight. You know, there was issues, a lot of issues, but not the way we're thinking.
No.
But so my point is, like you said, I think you hit on something, and the way I've been trying to phrase it is it's a respect thing.
Yeah.
So you understand now, especially in this group, in this lineup, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody's really willing to put up a stink about something, it's because now you go, well, it's because they care, and there's probably something there. There's something to that, because you respect them as a person and as a musician and as a songwriter, that the reason they're in that room is because you view them as a peer.
Yep.
So even if they're wrong in this idea or their criticism, it still needs to be heard and validated.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times when we're new musicians, when we're young musicians, our egos are either too small or too big. I'm not going to name a name, and I'm not even going to say what band I was in. I'm not even going to say what instrument he was on.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
But there was a guy I was in a band with where his ego was so small that he never thought his voice was being heard.
Yeah.
Even though it was, but he was only 1/5 of the band, right? And so when his idea got shot down, it hurt more.
Yeah.
And he didn't understand, like, dude, we all have ideas. So 1 out of your 5 ideas being accepted, that's an equal ratio. Like, how much do you expect? Like, it's not even your band. Like, you're the newest guy in the band.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, how much do you need to feel valid in order for us to go forward? Because it was like, I without going into detail and giving away who I'm talking about, I really can't say much more.
No, I
but it was one of those things where, and then of course there's the guy on the other end of the spectrum, the guy whose ego is too big, and like, it boiled down to a lack of mutual respect between those two people.
Yep.
In order to understand that one of them is the better songwriter, and the other one, you do need to just shut the fuck up right now. Because like, we tried that idea, it's terrible. We can all acknowledge it except you. So we're gonna move on, and that sounds fine in one instance, right?
It does.
But then
in
6
an
months
adult
later,
form.
right? But 6 months later, this dude's so butthurt he quits the band.
Yeah.
Now I got to find a new bass player, or a new drummer, or a new guitar player, or a new vocalist, or a new whatever.
For me, it was hard at the beginning.
And I intentionally said those instruments out of order so you didn't think I did a Freudian slip and think I was talking about one of my bass players. So good luck figuring that one out, suckers.
No, for me, being that was smooth. Being that I've been at the front seat of this train of the band for all the way to the beginning, it subconsciously adds this bit of mental mentality of that I'm the leader of the band. And I had to own up to that because, when you listen to that first album,
you founded the band.
I founded it. I technically got the wheels going for all of this. Like, songs.
So
wouldn't
even
have
if it's a
happened.
full democracy, if I were in that band and I had, let's say we were a formal company even, you know what I mean? And I'm like a full vested member. It's a 4-piece or a 5-piece?
4-piece.
4-piece. So I got 25% ownership. At the end of the day, it's still your band. Like, you founded it, you put in the work, it was your idea, it was your baby. Sure, I get equal input, equal say, equal all that, but it's like working with Steve Jobs or fucking, you know what I mean? It's like, no, this is still the man. This is like, we're not taking this from you. I have that much respect for that, and bands do need leaders. Like, when it comes down to a tie, somebody's got to be that tie-breaking vote. When nobody can make a decision, somebody's got to be the general and grab it by the reins and fucking go, no, fuck this. This is what we're doing because you guys are being indecisive or nobody cares enough or whatever.
I'm usually the indecisive one.
Really?
You
don't seem like an indecisive dude at all.
No, I seem very point A, point B, but the big thing is like what you're saying. This is my baby, and I'm very, very, very proud of what we've accomplished. And to have,
you should be, dude. It's hard getting to where you're at.
To be okay. So, we in this amount of time of COVID, we went through a lineup change. All this shit has happened, right? So is
Tim still doing bass for you?
No, I give you a rundown of everything there. You already done with your pop?
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Dude, I'm not drinking.
Well, fair enough.
I'm not drinking food.
Look, a guy pounds down, 3 pops so far in a half hour, and he's still that big around. But,
Dude, we've been going for an hour.
have we?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm usually not there. But no, so
It's easy to lose track of time down here.
I know it's the eye contact. That's why I keep looking at your mouse. I'm like, I don't want to get
It's intimate.
It is.
You can look at my shirt.
I like that smash mouthia.
No. Yes.
Just kidding. Smothia. But
Simothwa.
Oh.
Yeah, Justin gave this to me. He was the podcast. I think it was last
Look at
night.
it. And I'm
or
a
the night
dude.
before last.
I'm the douche that comes down here at no band merch. But
Simothwa.
all
Next
right.
time.
Next time. Next time.
I mean, I'll plug you. I'll give you free fucking.
I'm into that.
I'll give you free advertising. I mean, look, dude. Justin just gave this to me. What, last night or Monday night or
Yeah.
something? Word on the next podcast. I even showered before I put it on, baby.
That's awesome. No, so I mean, I'm very, very proud of what this band has accomplished.
And you should be, dude.
And when you like what you're talking about with like the tiebreaker, sure there are, okay, like with releasing The Wake of Mistakes, that song, being that it's a demo, yes, it's already, the drums are already tracked, the guitars and bass are already tracked. I have my vocals, I need to mix and master it, but we did a different rendition of it. But I know that I felt so strong about that song. We had to get it out. There was a passion behind it because it rang so true with what was going on right now, and whether one person or 1,000 people hear it, it just felt right, and the guys backed me. They understood. And I now have kind of come to the point of like, I give to things because it's not about making someone happy. It's what's right for the situation at hand. And Matt and we traded off. I'll start the song. You can take the solo. Even though I love the original solo in Wake of Mistakes, I'm giving it up.
That's one of the songs, obviously.
Yeah, I want him to be able to have his part in that song. It's
right.
Just one of those things. But
yeah, I do that too. Like, I know where I'm at in my own band, and so while I'm writing my music, especially, and it's evolved as I redid certain demos, because I lost all my demos.
Oh,
it was okay though. It was totally okay because I knew them all by heart.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't much for me to hook it all back up and re-record it, even though I was doing multiple instruments. Like, I had it all in my head.
You knew what to do.
Yeah. So, and I technically still had them in the cloud so I could listen to them, but I couldn't like get to them, and I couldn't send them to anybody. They were locked on my phone.
Oh.
So anyways, long story short, as I was redoing them, I didn't even put certain parts back in, knowing like, okay, I've got this musician now who's going to be playing lead guitar, or now that this singer's interested, let me rethink this.
Yep.
And that part doesn't even need to be there. Like, and then same thing, I kind of backed off of my anal retentiveness on the drums because I was writing the drums truly. And then Dalton got involved and wanted to make them sound better, so he got as close as he could to the program drums, and they sound a lot better, but the fact that all my little nuances were missing, my fills, like the drumming, the real drumming, the fucking like get my dick hard drumming was gone, and I was pissed and I was furious. But then I had to realize, no, wait a minute. First of all, what he did is still amazing. It's still fantastic. I can't make it that good with the way drums are programmed nowadays.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the way I did it was on an MPC, and I could break that shit down. Yeah, dude, and I got so fucking good. I could like literally, I had it figured out to where I could go and then I could fucking play a whole kit with my, because I'm like, dude, I have 8 fingers, or 10 fingers,
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute.
I think I only used 8. I think that's what.
Okay.
Because I never used my pinky. It was 2. But again, because I'm like, I play guitar and I know how to play drums, so let me it was fine. But where I'm going with this is I have a real drummer that's gonna go in, and I want to give these guys what you kind of said. I want to be able to give them the space to where they can flex their creative muscle, because this isn't a real band. This is a project. This is truly my baby, and we're doing this because we want to get, well, I I want to get something that's mine under my feet. So that way, if you and I decided to go start a band, the Singing Muffins, right? The Singing Muffins. You and I start a band, right? The Singing Muffins, we make everything like fluffy and pink and
all
cute,
I picture
but
are
it's
the
pure death metal.
It's all daisies off of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
And let's say that band blows up, right? All of a sudden, seriously, let's just say it's fucking, we're like, just somehow we blow up and it's great. And we're making money, you know, we're like, fuck it, dude. We make enough money, we can bring our wives and kids on tour. Like, we're living the dream. And then all of a sudden that band breaks up. Well, now our careers still aren't over because you still have Hex Vortices. I still have Rivalry. We both have these other projects we can continue to move forward with, right? Whereas before, if all we had were the Singing Muffins and that band broke up, we go back home and we're like, well, now what? Okay, well, let's start a band. Okay, you have no equity. The equity was all in the band, right? So now, once we get this one off the ground, we're gonna start a project with Dalton, and that's gonna be Dalton's deal. And then we're gonna try to find a group of musicians, 10 or 12, that we all really believe in. And we're gonna help each other launch their own project. And then once those projects are fucking starting to do well, then we can start creating extra bands and fucking have the other bands bring them up, show them the rope, show them the business, show them how to perform properly, book shows, book tours, things like that. Because that's where we do have the expertise. You know, we are the Bill Berrys and the Joe Spanbauers and the Shannon Brettles.
Perfect. That's actually perfect. I'm going to say one thing and then we can go to that subject. You know, like I say,
take your time, man.
I just know how my memory is. So, you know, as far as with the Hex stuff and everything, and you had mentioned Gravesing, and then you were also curious about Tim. Gravesing, it just kind of got to a point where it was too much.
Those questions.
It's all good. You boots and cats. No, so as far as Gravesing goes, I had a really good run with them guys. It was fun. We played Crypticon. We kicked maximum ass at that thing. I mean, I had a great time with it. It just got to the point where it was too much. Too many shows, and I felt like it was time for me to step down. I had other obligations going on.
How often were you guys playing?
It's different thoughts on that. I think that overall, I think the guys thought I was being dramatic, and I didn't feel like I was. It just where my mental.
But how often were you playing?
Really not that much.
Okay.
But it was a sheer coincidence. A friend of mine had passed away a year to the date, almost. Gotcha. And it was one of those things where it was the same time we were playing out in Green Bay. So I had to leave my wife. I didn't want to leave. Right. I didn't want to go. I wanted to say screw it, but I had that obligation to 3 other people.
Right. The show must go
I didn't
on.
care about the other bands. I only cared about Jay,
Right.
Alex, and Dan. I wanted to make sure that I was doing my part for them.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, it was hard. You know, I was homesick, and it is what it is. But I knew where I was at. I needed to just kind of step back because I had Hex and everything, and I had my moments with Hex too. But, as far as the Hex stuff, I was the songwriter for the first album, and so then. When Tim was playing guitar.
So you wrote the whole first album on drums and guitar?
No, let me rephrase that. I did not write the drums. No, I simply just wrote the main riffs, the guitar parts, and
which is still technically writing the songs.
Yeah. But Tom came in. Tom and I started jamming. He wrote all the drums. And even that can be fun sometimes because I'll get an idea and I'll give it to Tom, and he's like, "I want to write my own drum parts."
Right.
And I get it now. I totally get it. It's you don't want to go stepping on each other's dicks, but if you have an idea, give it hell. Try it.
Yep.
Matt came in. Tim had stepped down. Matt had come in, and it took him a little bit to acclimate because he's a huge thrash fan, but I write in a weird key signature. I'm weird. I'm wired at 185 BPM. That's just how I am.
Me 180.
Short fat kid playing 185. It's
180. 180 for me.
It's in here, but
for me, it's 180, dude. I feel you, brother.
I'm weird at it. But Matt came in, and it took him a little bit to acclimate, but now he's the man. He's there. He's writing tunes that fucking right, dude.
So Tim just drop out when he moved to LA?
No, it was prior to that. Tim actually thought that I was going to let him go when I called him, and I actually called to apologize for how the vibe had kind of been between him and I and everything. And I mean, Tim and I go back. We go back all the way to he was in 10th grade, and I ended up staying back a grade, and we had our crew, and we became really good friends and everything. And so I mean, we've known each other since '98, somewhere in there. So lived together, had the same girlfriends at different times together, shit like that. Just stupid stuff, but we've had our times, but we're still friends. We still hit each other up once in a random while,
So he just thought you were going to kick him out, so he quit?
No, I guess
that doesn't make any sense.
No, I know it doesn't make any sense. It's just it's hard for me to remember exactly all the details. So I don't want to say
we don't
anything.
have to get into it either.
It really, what it comes down to is that Tim had other things that he was doing, and it's cool, everything has been mutual. It took a little while at the beginning when it was Dan, Sean, and Nick. There was a little bit of animosity there, simply because it was like all of them all at once, like, whoa, shit, what the hell, But then Sean and I had talked. We got it all. Everything's cool. So like, that's my big thing, is trying to be cool. Just no sense in holding on to the shit. It's not going to get me anywhere. I'm in a band with 8 firing cylinders, and that's where I wanted to segue before the promoting stuff and booking shows was, this year with COVID going on and everything, we had talked before, this starting, that, trying to stay relevant, trying to stay in the
before
the
the
face,
podcast,
all that stuff. And that's something that we've really been pushing and pushing and pushing. I mean, trying different ideas as far as promoting goes on Facebook, staying in people's faces. Yes, we've given into the whole, pay to boost your post, but you know what? That's capitalism, and that's just how it's going to roll. And if we don't like it, we can sign off of Facebook. Right. Somebody was smarter than us and made billions of dollars now.
Well, not only that, dude, but think about it like this. Like, okay, it kind of sucks that you got to pay to boost your thing, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that wasn't an option at all back in the day. And you were literally just at the whim of people liking it and sharing it.
But is it because they're tapering it down to make you pay?
I think it's a combination of both, because there is a way to do it without doing that. Okay. And basically it's what it is on Facebook specifically.
Yeah.
I can only say this about Facebook. If you post something and someone comments, you need to like that comment and respond. And try to respond in a way that gets them to respond another time.
Yep.
For every single person that comments, because that shows Facebook's algorithm that there's interaction.
Yep.
And then they push it again and again and again. Here's the point: is if your shit isn't very good,
mm-hmm.
people aren't interacting with it.
No.
So we can use this. It sucks. It hurts our feelings, right? We're musicians. So as tough as we want to be in hard rock and in metal, we're still sensitive. That's why we're musicians. Like, all musicians are a little sensitive and fucked up. So it hurts our feelings when we put all this time and effort into this music and then no one likes it. We've all been there. No matter
absolutely.
how good we are now, no matter how good our bands have or have not been, we've all been in a spot where you think it's great, no one else does.
Dude, we played our first show in 2016. January something of, I think it was January 1st, 2016 at
really?
Yeah, it was the Minneapolis Music Cafe. And we played there. We had a bunch of friends there. It was awesome. And then we had 1 full year, no shows. Nobody would book us, nobody would talk to us, nobody would entertain any ideas about putting us on shows. Couldn't figure out what the hell we did wrong that just seemed to alienate us. And then things started ramping up finally, And then it's been sporadic, and like, we had discussed too, playing with the same bands back in the day, you had that core group that you would play with and shit, and now it's, because the focus is so just everywhere. It's like a dog with 1,000 squirrels running around. People's attention span to go out and not support bands, but just go out and socialize. It's almost gone.
True. But it's easier now to expose your music to people than ever, because now you have the ability, if your shit is good, right? all people have to do is hit like,
Yeah.
and you're immediately in their algorithm. And as long as you have enough content, and this is the other thing I think a lot of us don't realize, if you put out one song, it is almost impossible for you to do anything with, because I can like it, but then there's nothing else for you, the algorithm, to feed me of yours. So you can't turn me into a real fan yet. It takes. So musicians need to start thinking of it like sales. And I talked about this on the last podcast with Justin. Like in regular sales, when you finally go buy your TV from Best Buy or Target or order it on Amazon, wherever, it doesn't matter. It's because somehow, some way, and it makes better sense with specifically Best Buy, but you can still pick Amazon. Wherever you chose to buy that from, that company has touched you in advertising terms 8 times. So whether it's a newspaper, a radio spot, an internet ad, a TV commercial, they've gotten to you 8 times on average before you finally make the brand association and decide to pull the trigger and make the purchase.
Yeah.
8 times. 8 times.
How many times?
So if we think of that sale as gaining a fan to our band, right? That means, in theory, you would need like 8 songs online.
Yeah.
That when they finally see one and like one, they can get fed up to 8 more over the next couple weeks and become a fan. But again, if it's just 8 songs, that's really not enough. That's just enough to get a fan. You still have to have a library of content. So, and I'm not even saying like this is how we all need to think, but if we can start thinking like this in these terms, like, yes, there's so many bands out there, and most people don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
But where I started with this is like, let's say you and I started this sweet ass band and we're really fucking serious about it. And I've heard stories of motherfuckers dropping $20 to $50 on YouTube or Facebook on the boost thing, and they get 12 to 20,000 views.
Yep.
Here's what I think. Here's how I see that, right? And people go, that's fucked up. You got to pay for that. Dude, are you telling me right now? Look at those views like concert attendees.
Yeah.
You telling me you wouldn't pay $20 to $50 to get 12 to 20,000 people to come watch your band play live? Fuck yes, you would. Fucking yes, you would. So
this is where the Andy kicks in. This is Andy's.
You would.
Oh, well, hear me out on this. There's a part of me that agrees with that, and then there's the other part that doesn't, because it's the whole integrity thing. It's a twist, for me to accept it and not accept it, because it's the equivalent of my coworker saying, Andy, I don't like the shit that you play. I don't like what you sing. I think it's a joke. I think it's stupid. But I've heard you actually sing like country songs or something, shit that I'm in a whole bunch of different music, but it's one of those things where he says that and he goes, dude, why don't you start a band like this and that and blah, blah, blah? Because that's not what I want to play. My right hand goes 10,000 miles an hour and double picks everything and jumps around. And, it's being true to yourself with it. That's where I say that, where I'm 50-50 on that, because I look at how people have started acting with us. And that's what's the whole other thing with the Hex stuff, was that, we're to the point now where we're getting asked to do, what is it? YouTube live festivals, all right, down in Chile, Ecuador. We're getting put on podcasts. We're getting this advertisement. We have people from over in Europe hitting us up, wanting our CDs. I mean, I think it was somebody in China. I mean, this is crazy shit. I've never had this happen before in any other band.
But this is probably the longest band you've also been in.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a huge part of it, is like, because that's what the number one thing I tell young musicians starting bands. My little brother's got buddies like, hey, fucking, and I'm like, just don't stop.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem, is most bands just quit. They break up. Just don't stop. And eventually, so let me ask you this. This is a great segue into, well, not really even a different conversation, just continuing this one. If I were to get you a crowd of 333 people, and you had a proverbial record. This is pre-internet time. And you had that record. Could you get one out of that 333 people? Is your band good enough to get one out of 333 people to buy your record?
That's it. You're basically saying like me think that have that. Okay. Are you saying like, do I have the confidence?
Here's what I'm asking you. It's an actual hypothetical situation. Your band is playing.
Yep.
I provide you a group of 333 people that have never listened to your music before in their lives. Can you get one of those people playing live? Can you get one of them to buy your record?
I believe we could.
Okay. Perfect. Of course you can. Anyone can. Anyone can. Literally anyone can. If you're good, you can get 10, 20, or 30 of those motherfuckers to buy your record, right? But you still only need one for this analogy.
Yep.
Here's the point. 1 in 333. There's 333 million people, and actually way more than that. That's just what we can accurately say on the census.
Yeah.
333 million Americans in this country. 8 billion people on the planet. Before the internet, before YouTube, before Facebook, before iTunes, you still only needed 1 in 333 people in this country to buy your record to go platinum. So 333 people divided by 1 million is 1 in 333. See where I'm going with this? The trick was, how do you get in front of 330 new people every single night you play? That was the trick, right? So what did you do? You toured. You had to go to new cities so you could hopefully, and that was the struggle, right?
Yep.
We need more people. Like, fuck, man, it sucks when you only have 50 people, because even with only 50, yeah, we can sell 1 record, 2 records, 3 records, but we want to get in front of 10,000 people, because then I can sell 1,000 records in one night. And that was always the scheme. But then you have logistics. How do we get there? How do we find a good road crew? How do we book the right venues? My point is, now we don't fucking have to, right? Yes, you're not selling records anymore, but even bands like Killswitch Engage. Okay, and why I bring up this ratio is because when you used to sell, before the internet, when you used to sell 1 million records, you were the biggest thing since sliced bread. Post-internet, it's like anywhere between 100,000 and 300,000. And they're like, holy fuck, this dude's moving records. Like real records, not just streams. People are buying the album. This band is the next big thing. So that's even less. Now you're not looking at 1 in 333. You're looking at, like, I don't even know how to do that math, like fucking 1 in 300. If you're looking at 100,000 records to be sold, you know? So, or 1 in 3,000 or something like that. So my point is, with the internet, it's actually easier to expose ourselves to those people and get them into our music. So all we got to do is start looking at it like this. The music is free. We want to get you into it. That's our advertisement, right? The 8 touches theory. First, we get you into it. Then we can establish through internet, we can do metrics really fucking easily and figure out where we're the most popular and figure out who we need to talk to through the internet and book shows with local bands in this area. And all of a sudden, boom, you show up in fucking Omaha and you've got 500 kids there. Because you actually we go, man, $20 to $50 just to let people see my shit. That sounds so stupid. Dude, we used to drop hundreds of dollars on flyers.
Then
it's the same thing.
Everything has shifted.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm not trying to be,
that's a great point.
I'm not trying to be like naively optimistic. I'm trying to say, like, I think we have turned into the old guys generally, not just you and me. I'm not calling anyone out in specific. I'm saying, like, this is why the metal scene has dropped off, because we haven't figured out, wait a minute, this is actually better for us. This is easier for us. Like, we don't have to go to a town 4, 5, 6 times before there's 500 kids there to see us as the headliner. If we do this properly, we could never go there and show up the first time to 500 kids. But we're not thinking about this anymore. Some of us are really comfortable. We've got too much to lose. It's like, it's not worth it anymore. It's like, dude, I don't know, man. Again, I'd rather swing a hammer than a drumstick.
Well, and I think a lot of us too.
I'd rather swing a drumstick than a hammer.
Rather swing a dink.
I'd rather swing a drumstick than swing a hammer. So, and I work this hard and I think this hard when somebody's paying me $20 an hour. So why don't I work this hard and try this hard when I'm trying to do my own music or my own podcast? You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
is what we need to start thinking about, because again, why am I obsessed with this idea? Because the whole fucking world just shut itself down.
Yep.
Most of us don't have jobs.
Well, and dude, there's a lot of bands that, you know, and Will brought this up to me, that there are bands that have done in the Twin Cities.
Yep.
So you have bands like that, and I know how it. It was kind of. It's not something that happened, but I mean, you know, there was a couple practices we just didn't do.
Right.
But that's the thing, is the way Will explained it. Take a practice off. All of a sudden, another practice, and another practice, and all of a sudden, it's months, and then it's just, well, why are we paying for a practice space if we don't, you know, if we're not using it? You know, we just switch practice spaces. We're paying each $20 more. Why? Because we need the space. Why? Because we're.
Are you at Will's spot?
No, we're not. But I actually was there, saw it. It's awesome. Will did a great job. So I'm plugging you, Will.
I've heard nothing but great things about it. I honestly, I'd love to be there, but because everybody keeps telling me that. They're like, dude, you got to go talk to Will, because I keep mentioning I need a spot. I'm like, dude, unless he has that place 100% soundproofed in every single room on both the ceiling, floor, and all the walls, I can't do a podcast when there's bands playing.
Oh, yeah. In that respect, no, it would be too hard.
Right. And I don't want to have two different spaces, like one for the podcast, one for jamming. I want to be able to find one giant compound.
Yep.
And not just me being there. I want to have other creators in there with me, because I got some buddies that want to do some more shit. And I want to be able to like build something for us where we can fucking make music videos, or do live streaming concerts over the winter, or do comedy content or sketches, or, you know, my buddy's got an improv comedy show, and one of his biggest issues has been like a regular venue he can rely on.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of shit I want to do, man. I got big plans, but yeah, I'm just shocked as to how many people are just so complacent, and they're like, meh.
Well,
and I'm like, well, then that's cool, but then don't be jaded, or bitter about your failures, because it's like you're not even trying at this point. And a lot of people are fired up. You know, a lot of people are really into the idea, and they're excited about that, and they're excited about this podcast because they see what I'm trying to do, and but then there's just so many people that are, I don't know, man. And it's like, okay,
you know, for
good luck a year from now.
Yeah. Well, and for us to, you know, taking things on, basically making the band its own business entity, meaning recording themselves, you know, building the relationships directly versus having a middleman. Being the face instead of it being somebody else, and only seeing the band printed out on a CD, stuff like that. You know, I went out and bought a GoPro. For this live show that we're doing.
Yep.
We bought a GoPro. I bought a GoPro. We paid a friend of ours to come in and record it on a board. I mixed and mastered it. We had a friend come in and walk around with the GoPro.
Let me ask you this, man. Have you guys ever thought, and I know this is going to sound absurd because you would think you would never do this until you have 10,000 fans, but I think this is how you get 10,000 fans. You know what I mean? Because 10,000 fans is like I forget what they call that.
A lot.
sort of. I mean, it's really not if you're thinking like spread out across the country. But it's the first metric where it's like, okay, you have enough fans / customers here to really start monetizing. And it's one of those snowball numbers. That's what I was thinking of. It's a snowball number. Like once you get to 10,000, like if you really have something going, it really starts to ramp up quickly.
Oh, dude.
It's like the recipe for being viral, right? Like something like that.
You know what? I can tell you that exactly, because, you know, you've got your YouTube channel doing your live streams. I've got my YouTube channel where I've been on there since 2016. Doing mechanic videos.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that.
And it's taken me that long to get 5,200 subscribers, right? There's a young girl who somehow, some way, okay, there's different ways to go about this. There's the young girl that's been sending videos back and forth to Dave Grohl, right?
Yeah.
Instantly viral. She's cute.
Yeah, the drummer girl.
She's a drummer, right? I am a 39-year-old fat kid.
Hold on, though. She's been doing those drumming videos for about 2-3 years.
Yeah, and it's mind-boggling. You know, then you have an individual. There's a female out there that has a motorcycle show that started very like a year prior to prior to me discovering her, which is very recent, within the last few months. And all of a sudden there's a whoops shot, you know? And it's like, all right, you got the cleavage shot going on there. Well, you know damn well that's going to skyrocket what every male that's on the internet, some pervert, wants to see. You know,
have you seen Supercar Blondie?
I haven't.
She annoys the fuck out of me.
There's a lot of clickbait stuff that goes on Facebook or on YouTube.
She's a mildly attractive blonde woman from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Who, it's like the cars and the hotels she stays at and reviews are so obnoxiously expensive.
I know who you're talking
about. It's almost offensive. Because it's like, I look at this, and when I would have been younger, I probably would have went, man, I hope someday I can get that rich to stay at places like that.
Yeah.
And now I look at it and I go, that shit is so unrealistic. But the way these people do this online now, you're making normal life and normal luxury seem like worthless, and you're making like people feel like what they have is like insignificant because
absolutely
this shit is so unrealistically accessible. Like, she's in Dubai. Like, we don't even have hotels like that or fucking cars like that here. Like, we don't have people that rich in America. We don't. Like, even Jeff Bezos, he's the richest person in the world. No, he's the richest person in the world that we have the ability to put on that list. Those motherfuckers in Dubai smoke Jeff Bezos. I don't even remember what my original point was before we just segued onto this. I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. So here's my idea, right? I don't care if you got 100 fans. I don't care if you got 500 fans. I don't care if you got 10,000 or 100,000. I'm banging around this idea, and I think it's a genius idea. You start a fan club, okay? And now it's really easy through Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
You do something really
But they're
small.
Even doing shit now. They're clamping down on things, too.
Hear me out, though. Hear me out. So we just figured, so maybe Patreon's not the right one. You know what I mean? There's other ways to do this.
Mm-hmm.
$1.99, $2.99 a month. And you
Different
start creating that extra, or even just one if you're a smaller band.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking for smaller local bands, maybe they should just start with one.
Mm-hmm.
Just one tier, $2.99. Let's just say $2.99 for the sake of argument. $2.99. And you said you bought a GoPro. That's what reminded me of this. You don't necessarily film practices, but you do shit like that, behind the scenes stuff.
Yep.
You do things like that. You put that content maybe on your website or something. So when people sign up for your fan club, they pay the $2.99. They get a name, they get a username, they get a login ID or whatever, a password. They can log in, get this extra content, right? Provide extra value. Maybe there's an extra chat forum and shit like that where you can interact with them directly.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get discounts on merch, maybe early access to CDs, ticket sales for concerts, things like that. But then once a week, you and the band members sit down and you do like an hour or a 2-hour long podcast like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have this extra content beyond just your music. Because again, we're trying to think about this for any listeners that are fans of music and they're like, this is absurd. Here's why. Because we've already, especially if you're just tuning in now, we've already established earlier that we've kind of had to give in and understand that we're putting our music online. It's essentially being given away. It's essentially free. The way we get paid for streams. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, I'm not breaking down the monetary side of it, but
it's a joke.
But you don't get paid for streams. You do, but you don't. It's like pennies on the dollar. It's fractions of pennies on the dollar for each stream. And so we have to figure out a way to monetize outside of that. And right now, the one thing that's obvious is merch and touring and playing shows.
Yep.
Well, in a COVID world, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
However, let's say you had 500 fans that are willing to pay this $2.99. That's $1,500 a month.
Oh, absolutely.
In passive income, you guys could still be generating. And then is what you do is you can now, people are more interested in your content than ever in a COVID world because nobody else is doing anything, Andy. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
So they're
dude.
like, fuck, man, I certainly ain't canceling that $2.99 because at least I get my favorite band's podcast. I get their fucking extra content behind the scenes. I still get all of this shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
This is
fuck,
a lot.
dude. You see what I'm saying though?
Honestly,
like I think that's a great idea.
This is a lot of discussion that we in my camp have had, and with us doing that live stream coming up here in November. It's November 4th. It's a big thing for us because it's a live show for us to put out. So people will see that word of mouth. If you have a product, like you say, if you have a quality product and people are interested in that, it's all about the production of it, how you interact with people, and what you put out there, what you put forth is huge. And like, sure, it was a lyric video that had some basic elements to it as far as the visuals go, but it's something. It's anything's better than nothing to put out,
Right.
And so at least we're trying to get our name out there. We're trying to get in front of people's faces, and
sadly, that's more than what most people are doing right now.
And that's really the point, is that, we know that times are hard or tough for people, and a lot of bands are going to the wayside. And, for us, well, actually for me specifically, I'm out of the loop. I don't follow a lot of bands on my personal page because it's my personal page. I like to keep it that way. And I have my other page called Thrash Metal Studio that people can connect with me through that. So, I don't know what a lot of people are doing. I only know what I hear from other musicians.
That's a great segue. Let's get into that real quick.
Okay.
So Thrash Metal Studio, that's where you're putting your drum videos and shit? That's where
everything.
And that's your YouTube channel, right?
I'll basically give you the intro to it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Andrew. This is Thrash Metal Studio.
Let's just pull it up. Fuck it.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube,
no,
right?
I got to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, let me do it.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Andrew, Thrash Metal Studio. This is where we talk about new and used gear. We do gear reviews. We do guitar setups. I play my drums, talk about those, show you what I do back there. Most importantly, I give you the tips and tricks that I learn along the way of using Logic Pro X. So let's get started today.
That's awesome, dude. Okay, hold on. We're pulling it up right now.
Yeah, the page is basically an outlet for me to show like what I'm doing to my guitars, or a new pedal that I bought, or an amplifier, or doing a rig rundown of what I use live. It's fun stuff. Oh God. Mike down. Mike, what'd you do?
I got you, bro.
Whoa.
I think you're good, actually.
We went flaccid. Oh. So
cram it in there.
Yeah, but I mean,
Is this it?
Yeah, this is it. So it's basically an outlet for me to be able to help people out with the most popular one I have so far is.
Oh, look at that, dude. 108.
Yeah, it's been climbing actually.
Where was I at before we started this? 107, I think. Before we started this, look at that, dude. We're like YouTube buddies. We have the same amount of subscribers.
We're totally docking right now.
You had one more than I did, sir.
One more. I had 107 when I got here.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Sick.
But the most watched video is going to be the one where I show how to hook up my 18i20 Scarlett interface with my Octopre, because I had to call and get guidance from Focusrite.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, no shit, huh?
I just subscribed.
Oh. Hey, look at that. Son of a bitch.
It went from 108. I seen him look down. I quick hit refresh after
Man,
I
what
subscribed, and it went to 109.
What up with that?
I tricked you.
Son of a bitch. But it's fun for me. I mean, it gives me the ability to answer questions of people and, stuff like that. You funny guy. I also answer questions, stuff, but yeah, it's just a fun thing for me. And as far as like it being called Thrash Metal Studio, I mean, I play thrash. It's my home studio. I take a lot of pride in it. I do a lot of solo.
This is cool, dude. Yeah, it's fucking cool.
It's fun. It's a real treat. It's a honey of a deal.
That's awesome. Have you reached out to anybody to like send you shit yet?
I talked to more audio. Matt,
send me some pedals or send me whatever.
I asked them what the story was, and they said because they're a smaller company, they can't really afford that, but they can wheel and deal on purchasing them and whatnot, which is totally cool. My other page, Andrew the Mechanic, that's one that I've been doing for the last 4 years, and that's that's been a pretty good one. I try to interact with as many people as I can on there, but I used to do a lot more of like tutorials of, okay, here's how I do these, here's how I R&R this spindle or do these brake pads or fix this, But it got to the point where I really got burnt out on it. I had to kind of check out from it. I still do videos on there, but it's more of restoration stuff with my old pickup that I got and everything. So it's for the kids.
That's dope, dude.
It's good times.
That's super fucking cool. And then you got the mechanic channel as well. Right?
Yeah, that's the one we were just talking about with like repair and stuff and everything. But
and you got 5,200 subs on that one.
5,200 subs.
That's fucking impressive. Dude.
It's you know what? I remember when I had 100.
So are you part of the? Did you apply to get monetized?
Oh yeah,
and shit?
I get monetized for it.
We don't have to talk about how much money you make out.
Oh, I make so much money.
But I am curious. I would like to talk to you about that after the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Podcast.
But I mean, it really, to be realistic here, it takes a couple months for me to accrue anything,
right.
Just on the realistic side of it. But I mean, I have videos that have over 100,000 views,
That's so cool.
It's cool. But you know what the deal is that even though you have videos that are doing that type of numbers, it don't mean shit in the term of what you make off of it, because the ads are the big thing, and I'm one to bitch about it because I hate watching ads while I'm trying to watch a video. But you know what? If I can make a little bit of side cash, a little bit of hustle, I'm fine with that. I can accept that because I am putting the work in. I mean, I'm the one out in the garage freezing my nuts off to show Joe Blow how to change an alternator belt on a Mazda Protege, stuff like that.
What's the mechanic channel called?
Andrew, the mechanic.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, so like right now I got videos of, working on the engine. I just got a 307 Chevy small block that I'm working on and tearing it down and everything. And so it's a good time. It's definitely one of the other hobbies I have. But I mean, between wrenching and recording music, playing in the band, I mean, got a lot of stuff going on.
This one cracks me up.
What's that one about?
Your face.
Oh yeah, dude, I have a blast on there. I mean, I act like a complete moron. I actually honestly try to keep my page as I don't want to say politically correct, but I try to not swear a whole lot, because I want it to be open for everybody. And I've actually had people say that they like my channel because of that.
Oh, really?
That they're able to let their kids watch it kind of thing, which is pretty cool. It's basically
don't let your kids watch this podcast.
Oh yeah. Well, and like I'll say, hey,
they've all got a couple hundred at least, and then you've got several where it's like, here's one 4.2,
19K, 15K. But see, that's the trick of it, is it's all about how you word things.
Yeah,
and it's a game. I mean, I got a message from
12K.
Yeah, which is crazy 13K. Because I didn't even know that video was at that.
I got me a Chevy muscle truck, 1977.
Dang old.
12,000 views.
12,000 views to watch my pre-rust bucket, But it's cool. It's
sweet, dude.
It's another way to help people out, if there's a video that I'm watching or making, But like, a fun one I did a sped up video of showing me taking an engine out, doing what I had to do to it, and putting it back in.
Really?
And that was freaking time consuming.
I got a fucking believe it's 99 Chevy Suburban. I want to drop a new engine in. And I here's the thing, is like, let me ask you,
what you got?
Because I'm getting irritated with how everyone is arguing with me. So I am not an idiot by any means when it comes to trucks or engines or cars at all.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much 100% that I self-diagnose correctly what's happening. I believe the oil, it's the head gasket. The oil is leaking into the antifreeze and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's increasing oil pressure. I want to just replace the fucking head gasket.
Yeah.
But a bunch of people are telling me in that truck, it is actually easier to just replace the engine and it's worth it. And I'm like, dude, that sounds absurd.
What year is it?
99.
So 1999.
V8. There's 4x4.
Yeah. It was the early 2000s when they started having issues because they were the Vortex. It's not.
No, this is the fucking, what is it? The 3800 or something? No.
No. It would be either a 4.3 or a 5.3, 5.8.
I think it's the 5.8. I can't remember. I got to go back and look at it.
But I mean,
I haven't owned it that long.
You know, in my frame of mind, I mean, you think about it, it's like me rebuilding my engines at home. I got a 355 and then a 307. 307, smaller displacement, less compression, da-da-da-da-da. People think it's a junk engine. Here's my thought. Engine's never been rebuilt, right? I have a straight edge. I have a legit milled down straight edge. I can check my heads to make sure they're level or not, or straight. Same thing with the block. If they're not, take the heads in, have them decked. Basically, they'll take a little bit of material off, flatten them right out, pop a new head gasket in, go. If you want to do an engine, yeah, you can R&R the engine, but now you got to have 2 stands, you got to have a cherry picker, you got to have the ability to be able to swap parts. Right. Now you got a big old massive list of things you got to get: gaskets, O-rings, little detailed, minuscule things. Well, if you're in there, well, then you might as well do the fuel injectors. You know, it's just shit like that. It starts snowballing in. There's a lot of coulds and couldn'ts or shouldn'ts with it, but at the same time, if you throw a pressure tester on it, or if you check the oil and it's milky.
That's the thing is they're like, oh, just drop a new engine in. You can pick up a new engine for like $500. I'm like, yeah, but it's not going to be a
used
rebuild.
Engine.
It's going to be a used salvage engine.
Yeah.
I don't know what issues I'm inheriting with that.
Well, hey, I took that 355 down, and all of a sudden I discovered that.
How much would you charge me for that?
Nothing, because I wouldn't do it.
Not even to drop the new engine.
It's that's the thing I say is that, I'm doing it full time at work, so when the things you do outside of work start to interfere with your wife,
right?
That's a prime example. Is I realized that my personal life was being infringed upon because of certain things, and I'm so weird about that now. And
well, even at the shop, how much do you charge to fucking, if I brought that in to have the fucking? Because I'm pretty sure.
It's $100 an hour, 100 to 120.
How long would you take to do that?
I work for U-Haul.
Oh, you don't do that for a living?
No,
anymore?
when people, no, I put it this way: when people rent them and smash them, I rebuild them.
Gotcha.
So the pull engines, transmissions. I mean, I just did head work on an engine.
Oh, so you're not working at a shop?
No, I'm working at a repair hub.
That's fucking cool,
dude. You know what? Here's the
that's
got
to be way easier because you don't have any customers to worry about.
Oh no, au contraire, mon frère. So that realtor that was kidnapped and she was eventually murdered. Basically,
who?
Do you remember there was a female realtor that was kidnapped at the turn of the year, and they basically ended up shooting her. We had the truck at the shop that she was in.
Did they kidnap her from an open house she was running?
Yes. It was I believe, I apologize if I'm incorrect about the information, but that's an example. Dude, we get trucks that people have died in. We get trucks that people have shot up heroin. There's needles laying around. People have lived in them. There's feces. I mean, it's disgusting what people.
Because they're rented vehicles?
No, because they either steal them or they use somebody else's credit card.
How do they? If you work for U-Haul, how do they get there?
Well, what it is that we're a centralized hub. So 5-state area, somebody, say a truck is due for a PM service, oil change, stuff like that. Then they'll transfer it to Minneapolis, or they'll rent it out, and then the truck will get to Minneapolis, and then we'll have transfer drivers drop trucks off at that shop or that center, and then we'll pick that truck up and then we'll work on it. Well, then you'll have vehicles that are in accidents and stuff like that where they'll get towed into us. And then we'll pre-inspect them. We'll order the parts. I'll do the work. We'll final inspect them and back on the road.
Crazy.
I know.
That's so weird.
We are a essential service that has been working through COVID. And it is a trip because, dude, but it's a cool gig because, in a sense, you're helping people. But unfortunately, there's always going to be those few that ruin it for other people. They smash something up. I mean, I did work to a van. I fixed the whole front end on this thing. Got it looking real nice. 3 weeks later, smashed.
No shit, huh?
I had to pull the same shit back. The holes were there for where I put everything to knock the dents out and everything. I'm like, man, come on.
That's fucking crazy.
That's how it works. So we were talking about promoting and everything and how Things have flip-flopped. I totally
how
know
we're
exactly.
basically we're the Bill Berry, Shannon Brettles, and Joe Spanbauers
We are.
now. That's where we left off.
Things are so crazy to where it's now we're all doing the legwork. You know, a lot of people, and I don't know if you've had him on here or if you've talked to him, but Bobby
from Leo Presents.
You got it. I
have not had him on here yet, and I can't recall why. I think I don't have his contact info anymore, and I've been trying to find somebody I know that knows him and knows both of us extremely well. So somebody that can just straight up vouch for me.
Yeah.
Instead of me just blindly trying to reach out. Because
Yep.
I know him. We've talked. He's offered me some sweet ass shows that I wasn't able to take advantage of.
Yep.
But we don't have a deep rapport where I can reach out and get that kind of pull. So
It's
if you know him,
well, and that's
give
the
him a
thing
shout
is,
for me.
you know, Bobby.
Literally just give him my phone number and tell him to call me.
Yeah, I mean, I got Bobby's number on me, and I mean that's not bragging rights by any means, but what I'm alluding to,
There's a lot of people that have that phone number. It's just not me.
Well, oh yeah. But I mean, you know, there's been some negativity in the past. You know, a lot of misconceptions about pay to play and this and that, and I could genuinely tell you right now that Hex Vortices has never had to pay to play. We've never had to pay. I would never do that. I've never bought in tickets. I've never given Bobby any money.
I've pre-sold tickets.
Yeah, I mean, you know, where you
got to sell them and turn them in with the money and all that shit.
I've also heard opinions about this, but
it was when I was young.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, dude, you know what?
Take what you can get at the beginning.
The way I see it is, if you're not willing to put the work in to sell yourself, to sell your product, it's not selling yourself, meaning selling yourself short, like you have no standards. But if you're not willing to put in the time and effort to say, hey, would you guys like to go to this show? Da-da-da-da-da. We're opening up Warbringer. We opened up for Warbringer last year.
Yep.
Dude, it was a perfect lineup for us. We sold tickets to that. That's what you do. You sell yourself. Right. And it's unfortunate that there's a lot of backlash to that. You know, people may frown upon that and whatnot, but it goes back to, why are we playing music?
Right.
You know, I play because I want to play in front of people, and this is perfect too, because, you know, you said the drive. What's the drive to play? Right. You could see the video. I sobbed when I got home when Eddie Van Halen died. Fucking sobbed.
Right.
And you know what? I didn't appreciate the things that I learned from him trying to learn the solo to Humans Being. And I remember sitting there with my Jackson Performer guitar. My mom and dad got me learning Eruption. There's little phrases and things that I do in my solos, and when I do a wow, it reminds me of a song from the album Balance with the Hagar Years. And that part is, it just, every time I hear it, I get cold chills. It's awesome. You know, so it's having someone like that, you know, having Kirk from Crowbar's autograph on my arm. That guy means so much to me because he's such a phenomenal lyricist and songwriter and a leader of a band. I've had open communication with him and his wife because it's inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
He's given me tips on recording, shit like that, when we were going in to record Revival Fires. You know, so like seeing my mentors on stage and being able to have the connection, that inspires me to get to that point, to have that influence. I've signed autographs. I'm honored to do it. I'm just Andy from Mounds View. I do nothing special. I put my guitar on, I go and yell into a microphone. That's what I do. I'm humble. I don't let it get to my head because
I myself am also extraordinarily humble.
Yeah. Giggity. You know,
it's actually just a fucking Batista line from Guardians of the Galaxy, but I myself am also extraordinarily humble.
It's the pleats. But, you know, as far as the promoting and things go, I mean,
I know what you mean, though. You're not trying to brag. You don't think very highly of yourself. And that's something that's always really interesting to me about the musicians that I tend to respect is, or even the athletes or whoever, is they don't, and this is true for me too. I don't take myself very seriously, but I take what I do very seriously.
Yes.
So I think that's a great, quick, short version of, you know, a saying of what you just kind of described. Like, you're just Andy from Mounds View, man. You're strapping on a guitar. That's not you taking yourself seriously, but you still put in that work. You still put in that effort. So when you are out there,
oh, dude, when I walk on stage, I mean, regardless of how many people are in the crowd, I mean, that's our goal. Our goal is to get over to Europe next year and play on a couple festivals. I hope to God that wasn't supposed to be private information. I apologize if that was, but that's our goal. And you know what? If I can go and play in front of 1,000 people or even 10,000 people, that's more than I've ever done here.
Dude, and I'll tell you what, man, like when you guys get that figured out, whether it's private information or not, come back on the podcast and announce it, dude, because I already have people in Europe watching the podcast.
And that's awesome.
By the time that happens, you know, because the channel's growing pretty quick. So by the time that happens, you know, come back on the channel, announce it, you know.
Yep.
Fucking that again, that's one of the reasons we started this, is because I have that drive not only for myself and my band, but also for our scene.
Yep.
You know, and I've openly talked about it. If I can even do 10% of what Rogan did for the LA comedy scene, if I can do 10% of that for the Minneapolis music scene, this will be a success. Because this scene was once already thriving. Oh, and totally. The skeletons are still there, you know, and the skeletons are immortal. So my point is like, as soon as somebody comes in and starts waking up the ghosts, like, the town will come back. Somebody's just got to start fucking doing it. Well, and it's already happening on the hip hop scene. So we just need more people on the rock and metal scene. And there's bands out there that are drawing on the rock scene, dude. But the metal scene fell off, man. And metal is still popular. Yeah. This is still a metal town. Like, but we lost our way, man.
I really do feel that, you know, through the award shows that have come up recently in the last few years, and the different you know, we need to bring this scene together and this and that. You know, I support the thought and I support the efforts that are put forth, but at the same time, I don't feel as if all the bands are on the same page. Meaning, all right, we need to sit down. All right, let's plan a show, guys. Like, almost like a musician's you know, and I'm totally talking like my dad here. And normally I just shut it down because I think I know everything, but it's the musicians union idea. All right, here's what we're doing. We're allocating X amount shows. Maybe it's a little stern, but I'm just using example.
Still though,
we're allocating this 5 shows this month. There's going to be no interference, meaning no other shows. All right, we're going to have this amount of bands. We're going to have this one band grab 3 other band names out of the hat. Whatever you come up with, that's the show you're playing. Or it'd be a more civilized thing where bands actually say, all right, you know what? We all need to start sticking together. We need to start mixing up our shows. We need to start playing out. Be smart about it and make it an event, because every show that we used to go to at not Station 4, but Star Central was an event. We were all there. All of us, you know, and for any
dude, even when there was another show going on the same night at the Rock, because the leadership was smart enough to book a rock show at the Rock or Star Central, and then a metal show at the other one. If there were shows going on the same night, so even though there was, the crowds didn't conflict.
No,
right? Or both the bills were so fucking crazy all over the place that each venue drew their own 800-person crowd, and that wasn't pre-internet. That was during the internet. In fact, the internet was a big reason that we had that little explosion.
I still remember. I remember signing up for MySpace when there was about 200
and Facebook,
204,000 people on there. I remember that number, seeing that, and that was when I was in Section 8. So I hadn't really discovered. I had played a show at Star Central, which was meh, and then I played a show up in St. Cloud that was meh, you know, but. The Rock. I remember playing a show. How'd that feel?
It's fine. It's fine. It was just gross.
But I mean, I remember playing a show at the Rock, and we had a bunch of people up front. And you know who was always up front? Jeremy and Kyle. I'm sure Gensmere was somewhere in there. Copy would occasionally.
I was for a while before I hurt my back.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, there's.
I was always up there until I hurt my back, and then standing on those fucking concrete floors.
Oh yeah,
even the ones with the carpet on them, which none of them had carpet. But
no,
it was just too much. That's why I always ended up fucking sitting on the side of the stage,
on
the steps on the wood, because there's a little bit more spring.
Man,
between that and the fact that that's where it sounded the best.
Yeah. But as far as like what we were talking about with, I say that a lot.
Most of you guys sucked. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He said it.
I'm just kidding.
No,
Jesus Christ.
Bands now are promoting and they're putting their shows together and everything. And I think it's great that we're able to do that. I just think that there needs to be a little more tight-knit camaraderie. And I'm all for it.
And there's maybe a consolidation of who's booking these shows, because back then there was 3 people. There was Shannon, Joe, and Bill. And you had to really go through them. You could get your own venues and your own shit, but going up against those 3, you were always going to go up against one of those 3 on any given night, and they were going to outdraw you, and your show was going to do shitty. In fact, I didn't even start booking my own shows until 2 of them stopped booking. That's when I started really going after it, because it was like, okay, I can't reach out to these 2. So there's literally, I can't even remember who was left. It was either just Bill or just Joe. One of those were the only booker left.
Oh, I remember.
And it doesn't matter. But I think you kind of nailed something. And Justin kind of brought this up before too. And I think it's not a matter of there's too many bands or there's too many shows. I think we just need to figure out how to get out there and get back to the local scene in ATB, the hip hop community. If you go back a little farther, John Wheeler was on the podcast, Screaming Mechanical Brain.
Yep.
Or technically Screaming Monkey Boner. They all marketed to kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they're developing fans between 12 and 16. So by the time they're 18 to 21, they're fucking already invested.
Yep.
A lot of us also made the mistake of having such a fun riot of a party, right?
I puked in the bathroom at Star Central a couple times.
Which is what we should have been doing, was playing Sundays at the Triple Rock, playing the garage, and then just throwing crazy after parties and filming them and putting them on the internet. Because then those kids come to our show and like, oh my God, these guys are awesome. There's no fucking booze. The kids are actually paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
The kids are, they're trying to get laid, but they're not going to get laid because it's fucking underages and it's
Dave's
in public.
Confused.
You know what I mean?
I was getting there. You wouldn't even know what to do if you had gotten there.
Right? Exactly. Whereas, again, the 21 plus crowd, dude, they're drunk, they're distracted. They're there pretty much only to get laid.
Yeah.
Right? They're not there to actually see music. They're there to be a part of a scene, right? They're trying, because that's the cool crowd. And we all did it. We all fucking did it. And it was misguided, because then those people grow up and they have kids and they're like, oh, I don't want to go out anymore. And like, that band's broken up now. It's not a big deal.
Yep.
But if After the Burial goes out and plays after not playing for a year and a half, 2 years,
dude,
they still fucking draw.
Oh yeah. Yep. I mean, with the shit that they went through and everything with Justin, I mean, that sucked. But I mean, just the how do you say it? I mean, they left a footprint in Minneapolis. I mean, I know there's other bands that have come from here and everything like that, but at least for my recollection, I mean, Prince is kind of a big deal. I'm just saying.
But on the heavy side of things,
oh yeah,
I mean, like, the only other band that's outsold them is Head Charge, but Head Charge isn't as heavy as
Head
After
Charge,
the Burial.
Murder AD, Devil Inside, or not Devil Inside, but Disembodied. I would say in the heavy side, like you had just said, ATB, American Head Charge, Disembodied.
If you think, the way I'm thinking of it specifically right now is record sales, it's obviously like Prince and Dylan, but again, not heavy.
Yeah.
So then you immediately get rid of all those bands. Mm-hmm. So the closest thing to a hard rock band that's outsold Head Charge would be fucking Soul Asylum. They're not really hard rock, so you got to get rid of them. So you're back down to Head Charge and then ATB and then everyone else.
Yep.
Period.
Well, and you know what? That's a perfect thing you just said, because think about it right now. COVID just leveled the playing field. Every band that was here and every band that was here just went to zero. They just got their asses compressed. So right now is a make or break for anybody. If for really, I mean, how hard are you pushing to stay relevant, to stay in people's faces? It's just like marketplace. You type in one word and it'll change everything that comes up on that marketplace. As soon as your word disappears and doesn't come back up, you're no longer relevant. And I mean, not saying that we're God's gift and that we know everything, but I mean, I'll be.
But dude, people are starving for content as well.
I'll be damned
on the receiving side of it, because this conversation has come up multiple times between you and I before the podcast and on the podcast of being relevant, staying relevant during COVID.
Yeah.
Well, dude, on the other side of it, like, people are starving for content because Marvel's pushing everything back. The DC's pushing everything back. Disney's pushing everything back. Sony's pushing everything back. Movies aren't coming out. TV shows aren't coming out. Fucking albums aren't coming out.
You know what this means?
Motherfuckers are starving for new content. So come on the podcast. Start a podcast. Release your album. Like, do something. Pay the $50 to boost the post. The only reason I don't pay to promote this podcast is because in this format, what I'm doing, it won't work. Like, this is a 3-hour long format conversation. Speaking of, and I'm not trying to wrap the podcast up.
No.
What time do you got to get out of here? Do you have a hard out?
Why? What are you thinking?
I don't care. It's fine. I'm just letting you know we've already gone 2 hours, and some guys do. I mean, I try to be respectful. You guys got wives and families and shit, so you know.
She'll be all
and
right.
It's Wednesday night, so some guys still got to get up for work.
She loves me. She'll be okay.
So yeah, I just wanted to check in because, dude, it does not feel like we've been here for 2 hours.
No, I'm enjoying this. This is cool.
And I easily lose track of time on these. I know you guys do because fucking it's easy. It's
when
fun.
you get wound up about talking and all that, you know. It's
But what were we just talking about? We were talking about staying relevant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is, like, dude, release the album, start a podcast, come on this podcast, do something to remain relevant now, because people are fucking starving for content so bad that if you're waiting for things to go back to normal before you start doing shit, people are going to move on.
Oh yeah,
because people are becoming new fans of new things now. Because this is showing the world who the tenacious ones are. And oh, that's what I was saying. This is a long 3-hour long format podcast. Paying $20 to $50 to boost this thing is not going to work for me. My format has to spread word of mouth. So that's the listeners, the viewers, and the guests sharing this thing on their own feeds and saying, this is a new podcast I found. I like it. Check it out. And then if the content is good, more people actually subscribe. That's the only way this one works. But a band releasing music, doing YouTube videos, the playthroughs, stuff like that. Guys doing comedy skits, like John Wheeler's doing this genius thing. So he can't do stand-up right now, right? So Wheeler from SMB, he pivoted during COVID, and he started doing actually he pivoted before COVID, and he started doing comedy, but then he pivoted again during COVID. And so now that he can't do his stand-up bits in front of a crowd, where you work out the long timing, the breathing, the pauses, and you have to have a crowd in order to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, fuck all that. Here's what I'll do. I'll take my bits, I'll chop them down into like 3 to 8 minute videos, and and he does like cuts and jump cuts to get rid of those pauses that you would normally leave there for a crowd to laugh and process the idea. You can't do that online. Right? You don't put a long pause there when you just landed a joke because there's no fucking crowd to laugh. It's weird. He's smart enough to go, okay, so cut that part out. And so he started trimming them down, and now he puts out these comedy videos. If he dropped $20 to $50 per episode to get 12,000 views, that might work for him. Just not this format. But my reasoning behind this, and the reason I'm going on and on about it, is because that's what you guys should be doing during COVID, because there is no alternative to touring and spreading word of mouth and playing live shows. So do it. Pay the $20 to $50 and let your album blow up online. And then all of a sudden you're getting calls from, and I'm not actually talking about you because you already got shit going. I'm talking about guys who are trying to figure out what the fuck they're going to do now. Start the band now. Record the album now. Like, all those things you were thinking. Exactly.
We are on vacation from the rigors of trying to get a show together, trying to play shows, playing out of town, This is time to capitalize.
Exactly.
And it's so, you know, it's it's a double-edged sword too, because I feel really weird about the word capitalization of current times, because I see people selling things that people need. I see people taking advantage of things people need, just shit like that. Like I just don't. It's the integrity thing. How far are you willing to stretch your integrity? But with bands, I mean, we're not doing anything wrong. I don't think. I think that
we're not taking anything from anyone in order to get there.
Yeah,
like
I'm taking their hearing
if they play it loud enough.
Yeah, which I've heard things. We're on Mountain Dew number 4, so I don't think you heard me,
dude. I didn't even realize how loud it is down here.
These are pretty good for canceling out the sound. I mean,
like, you can still hear. It just does such a much better job of like, take those off wholly, take them all the way off, and then just listen to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so much fucking, you can probably barely hear me.
Hi.
I had a hard time hearing you without
you?
the headphones. Yeah, because it's so fucking loud down here. But once you put the headphones on, it sounds
it's right
amazing.
there. Well,
yeah.
I feel bad for anybody that comes in after me. I'll just leave these fuckers pegged.
No, it's all good. I sanitize them after every guest.
Right.
That's why I also switch out the foams.
Yeah, I noticed that. He is very COVID conscientious, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to let you know.
I do the best I can. I have a couple people that know some shit about that, and I told them what I was doing, and they were like, that's literally about as good as you possibly can do. Realistically, unless you have enough money to test every guest, that's about as good as you can do. There's really nothing else. Because I even hit the fucking disinfectant Febreze that kills 99% of shit. It's Febreze, but it still kills 99% of shit. And I hit the curtains with that too every once in a while.
Yep.
So like motherfuckers are coughing and shit in here, I still go through like, because
I
do not want to be responsible for that, man.
I really enjoy when I have to cough or sneeze because I have allergies and some judgmental son of a bitch looks at me. Oh, I love that. You know what? Here's my stance. I'll be pretty plain Jane about it. If I see anyone messing with someone that is either A, wearing a mask, or B, wearing a mask, they better hope I'm not there.
You said wearing a mask.
Either wearing or not wearing a mask.
Okay.
Meaning, if someone is stomping on someone else's choice, that's where I have an issue. Now,
gotcha.
That doesn't mean shit for me because I wear a mask when I go into stores. I work around vehicles that people have been in and out in, if there's going to be a point where I'm going to get COVID, I accept it. It is what it is. Hand in hand with that, I could die tomorrow. There's going to be a point in my life where I'm going to go. And you know what? It is what it is. There's nothing I can do to stop it. I can try to prevent what I can of transfer and whatnot, but I don't know. I mean, I know it's a very touchy subject, and between politics and COVID and riots, it's like the 3 shittiest things you ever want to talk about. But I mean, I have friends that went through having COVID, and he almost died. Like it was, they finally tried a different medicine on him, and finally it reversed what was going on. He lost like 30 pounds. Damn. And he was a huskier guy, a little bigger than me, but he's also taller than me. And I mean, I know it's no joke,
right?
But thankfully nobody in my family has gotten it. Friend of ours, an old bandmate of yours, he was super sick back in January.
Who?
Jeremy. Who's to say he didn't have it?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We have a friend of ours, Jen, that got really sick.
I got fucked up somewhere around there between December and January, but I'm convinced it was a sinus thing. But it was weird though, because it was exactly like having the flu, minus the stomach nausea, but the phlegm and all the nasty shit was coming from my nose and my sinuses. It wasn't coming from my lungs, because COVID causes pneumonia, and what pneumonia is I think they call it, if I remember right, consolidation, which is basically what happens is it's an overreaction of your immune system, and it starts killing the virus and producing all this mucus.
Yep.
And it just collects in your lungs, and it builds up, and that's what a pneumonia is, and that's what COVID gives you, and that's what you actually die from.
Yeah.
So that's why I think there's a lot of people that think they had it between, December and February, and it's like,
it's
if
weird.
you got really sick and didn't end up with a pneumonia, and you weren't hacking up huge things, then it wasn't that. Like,
But
if you
that's
were
the
like
trick,
me,
though.
if you got fucked up, but it was just a sinus thing,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what COVID is.
See, I've heard
So it's probably not.
So many mixed thoughts, or not thoughts, but I've heard so many mixed things from, the sources that be, the CDC and our president and the news channels that can't predict the fucking weather, but it's like, I'm to the point where I just don't watch the news anymore. I'm not trying to sway the subject, but I don't watch the
I know
news.
what you mean.
I don't trust the news. Misconstrued bullshit that you see every single day on TV. I don't believe any of that either. I mean, I see what I see. I go off of what I see, and hopefully it's the right path. It's, you don't know what the hell.
No, I'm with you though on what you said about the mask thing, because like I wear a mask when I go out in public. I keep it in the car so I don't forget it or lose it.
Oh, I love forgetting it.
But sometimes, like, if I jump in my buddy's car and I'm like, all right, let's roll, I forget that my mask is in my wife's car, right? Or in my truck or whatever. Because I tried putting it in my pocket, but I hate having shit in my pocket when I sit down.
Yeah.
So I constantly take shit out of my pockets when I'm sitting down. Like right now, I have nothing in my pockets. When I'm standing up, I'll have my smokes in my pocket, but yeah, those come out. My phone comes out. Everything comes out of my pockets when I sit down. I'm notorious for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget my fucking mask.
Yep.
And point being is, like, I'll run into my local store and they're super cool about it, because if I forget my masks, they know I'm just taking a couple steps in, 2 packs of Gold American Spirits, put my card in, pull it out, boom, boom, I'm out. Like, I'm not putting a lot of people at harm right there.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm also not doing is running around touching everything, sneezing, sniffling, fucking coughing on shit. And there's people that are doing the latter, cough and sneeze and touching everything, acting like it's no big deal. And then when people say shit like, hey man, how come you're not wearing a mask? Like, that's kind of fucked up, dude. They freak out about it. And it's like, no, you're being a psychopath. But then there's people on the former, where I walk in, and this hasn't happened to me, but I've seen this, where some guy's just like, fuck, I forgot my mask. Just let me buy my pack of smokes and I'll be gone. And some other customer just loses their shit because he's not wearing a mask. And it's like, oh, okay, no. You're the psychopath for losing your mind. Like, dude, I get it. We need to be wearing masks, but like, this is why I'm not okay with mask laws, because like, people forget, people make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see people going to jail for not wearing a mask, especially when we seen what happened in New York before mask laws were passed. Mm-hmm. We seen cops assaulting women on the subway for not wearing their mask correctly, and there wasn't even a law yet.
Yep.
And we have police brutality issues. You brought up the riots earlier. We talked about that before the podcast too. Like, we have police brutality issues. We have issues with certain cops overstepping their power and not using proper discretion, and literally sometimes escalating it to the point where somebody dies. I don't want to turn around and give cops another law to enforce, like how to wear a mask and when and where it's appropriate to enforce that law, and how that, I don't want to do it. I get it. I'm being paranoid. I'm being a little cynical, but at the end of the day, we've already seen this shit go wrong. For me, that's why it terrifies me. Now, don't get me wrong. I still wear my mask.
Absolutely.
I just don't like the law.
Yeah. I don't have the time or patience or the ability to handle the bullshit that comes along from someone that thinks that they're the almighty, that they're the ones that look down upon if somebody doesn't share the same rhetoric. I'm a free thinker. I'm an individual. I have the ability to show up to work every day, make sure my bills are paid, and not inflict harm upon anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I have that ability. And when I'm not going to say that, when an individual makes a decision for all, it's no different than me saying fuck the election and saying there is no right party.
Correct.
There is no way in this world that you will ever get somebody on the left or the right to appease the opposing.
Right.
There's no way. Apparently that's what a conservative is. Well, guess what? No, because everyone misconstrues conservatives as being right-wing extremists.
Right.
There's no gray area.
And same thing, like now the hot take is to call, like, think liberals are all insane. It's like, here's the deal. Technically, I'm a liberal. Okay? Technically, I'm a liberal because I believe in the individual civil liberties of a person. So that makes me pro-gay rights, pro-trans rights, pro-gun rights. But when somebody hears liberal, they think I'm a progressive, I'm a far lefty, I'm a Antifa guy. But when I go, no, I'm pro-gun, then even the liberals go, oh, you're a secret Nazi, you're a fascist,
Exactly.
you're into big government and big oil. And it's like, no, I'm against all of those bad things on both sides. Like, I agree with the Republicans and the conservatives saying lower taxes, get the government out of my business, right?
Yep.
Because those things identify with my liberal beliefs. Get the government out of my business, lower my taxes, give me more freedom for me to do what I want. And that's also, this sounds insane, that's also why I'm, like, legitimately okay with the idea of legalizing all drugs. Because here's the thing. If my kid decides to do heroin, my kid is going to do heroin. Making it illegal doesn't stop him.
If you want it, you will do it.
Making it illegal doesn't stop him. It makes him a criminal.
Yep.
Now it ruins his life even worse.
Yep.
So now not only you've made him a felon, so once he kicks the junk, he can't fix his life and get it back because now he's a felon. He'll never get a good job. You see, like, that's what I'm against.
Yep.
And all of those things are both conservative and liberal policies in their actual foundations, but they've taken those things, exactly what you said, and gone somewhere else with them. So now if you're one of these things, you'll never please anybody on the other one. And you're 100% correct on that.
And I can't remember if I said this prior to this firing up here, but the thing that I find the most, okay, this goes back to me thinking about people that I've lost in my life. The importance of things, the things that they hold most dear to their heart, that they believe in, and me respecting what others believe. I respect that people believe in how they believe, right?
Are you talking like spiritually?
I mean, in general, like in life, right? I respect that. But what I find sad is that there are people out there that devote so much mental thought and time of their life that, you know what, could go tomorrow. There's people that devote so much time to politics and are so fascinated by it and so strong-headed and bullheaded to think that they're going to convince you or I to believe another way if we feel a certain way. I don't care. All I care about is that people don't kill anybody. Don't steal from people. Don't infringe upon people's rights.
What did you say? People are fascinated in what by it?
People are so.
What were the specific words you used? Fascinated in what? Did you say obsessed?
It becomes an obsession.
But you know what you didn't say? Educated.
Exactly. I feel that the reason that I don't say, I'm glad you said that. The reason that I don't see a lot of viewpoints as being educated is because they shut down the ability to listen to the other person. They wait to talk. They don't listen. They shut down everybody. And I used to be very, very strong Republican, conservative-esque, very strong about it, right? Used to have opposing views to things that you had said. Still knew people that lived that lifestyle. I was friends of them. I respected it, but it wasn't my way of thinking. Well, I'm 39.
And for me, it's literally, I'm liberal because I'm conservative. I'm conservative because I'm liberal. Because I have one belief, which is get the fucking government out of my goddamn business. And I nor them should be able to tell you how to live, because you, hypothetically, a Muslim, living next to a Jew, living next to an atheist, living next to a Christian, all have different core beliefs.
They're going to have such great jokes.
Who, right? But who is going to be able to write one law that is what's best for all four of those people in their individual beliefs and their individual cultures? No one.
Absolutely.
Therefore, don't write one. That's my issue. And so you can take that belief, and so you can pretty much figure out where I stand on any issue if you just understand that one thing.
Yep.
Don't let the government make the decision for you. Protect the individual and their individual civil liberty and their individual ability to make the choice.
I always
and you'll
felt
figure out where I am on every single issue.
I always felt that and this may make me sound like a religious guy. I'm not. But
one final thing.
Yep.
That issue makes me a temporary conservative or Republican or a liberal, depending on where they decide it is.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm liberal because the liberals decided they're pro-choice because it's a woman's body to choose. I'm a conservative because I think it should be your choice to own a firearm, and the conservatives believe that's also... You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I didn't decide whether I'm conservative or liberal. They decided which issues are conservative and liberal. Therefore, I am X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I hate it because I'm neither of those parties.
Yeah.
And there isn't a third party that represents me and you and the vast majority of us that... Like, do you even care if I'm pro-gay rights?
I could care less. I don't.
Right?
I don't.
Do you even care if I'm straight?
No.
Right. That's how most
Either
of
way,
us feel.
You're getting some. It don't matter who you're getting it from. You go get it.
In fact, I don't want to know because I don't want to hear about your drama with your wife unless you're my best friend. Unless you're my best friend, I don't want to hear about you fighting with your wife or your husband or any of the drama. I don't want to hear it. I want to hang out with you and have a good time.
If we know, it's great to know the details of what people believe and how they feel and everything. But you know what? That us starting to know how we feel about a certain stance is the first step to divide and conquer.
Right.
Very first step. As soon as people start questioning what other people believe in, they have now won. And when I say they, I mean the government.
Yeah. The good part though is when we have the freedom of speech to do those things.
Absolutely.
Because that's how I have evolved.
You reminded me.
That's how I've evolved as a human. Is because I have said some stupid shit or had a stupid belief, and somebody had the ability to correct me and go, hey, man, and they didn't even correct me as in like, you're wrong. They were like, interesting. Here's the way I look at it. And then when they were done explaining it, I was like, man, I never even thought about it that way. That fucking completely changes my perspective.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it takes 2 seconds. Sometimes it takes 2 years. But a lot of the time I look back and I go, you know what? That motherfucker was right.
Yep, that's growth.
Yep, it is.
And that's what I was going to say about,
But that can't happen without our ability to find out where we disagree.
Oh, yeah. And
so what do we do now online? Echo chambers.
Yep.
We only communicate with people we do agree with.
Yep, and that's what creates sheltering.
Sheltering, it creates vilified lines.
Yep.
That's how you get this whole... Because... Democrats and liberals tend to only talk and hang out with other Democrats and liberals, and same thing with Republicans and conservatives.
Yep.
So therefore, there is no civil discourse. There is no talk where they disagree. So they never find out how much they have in common.
Yep.
That's why we have racial issues again. That's why we have the more and more logic that the other side politically is evil instead of just wrong. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I say, at my age now, and the way that I used to be and the way I used to think about things and perceive and have an opinion, this and that, I've changed so much over the years that it doesn't matter to me what somebody's sexual orientation is or who they voted for or how they feel about this person. I don't care. I don't care anymore. And my thought is that I believe in 2 things: the 10 Commandments and our U.S. Constitution. Those, if you can't follow the simple parameters of that, there's something wrong.
So would you consider yourself a Christian or a Catholic or
No.
whatever?
No, I
believe in the 10 Commandments.
I believe in a higher power. I do believe, but I don't go to church. I don't practice any of that. I've never felt comfortable.
But do you believe in Jesus per se?
I believe that there is an entity.
Okay.
I don't think it's a fufucking alien.
Right. Okay. Fair.
But I teeter-totter on the idea of creation, and
because it sounds like you're like agnostic, which is what
it's a teeter-totter, man.
My buddy Kevin, who's the best man in my wedding, he was also the bass player in the Tyrants. I don't know if you ever came out and seen that band live, but that's where most people know him from in my life. He's actually pretty well known in other
avenues,
in other scenes and circles like the hip hop circle and shit like that. But my buddy and my people know him because he was a bass player in the Tyrants, and he's agnostic because he definitely believes in the possibility of God.
Yeah.
And this is what being a true agnostic means. You believe in the idea. In fact, you may even believe that there is one. But it's really, you believe in the possibility, right? It's a little bit more broad. You don't have to believe there is a God, but you're open and believe there's a possibility that there's a God or a higher power. Exactly what you said, right?
Yep.
Now, the next step is to be a pure agnostic or a true agnostic, whatever, is that you don't believe that any of the current religions are actually real and connect to that. In fact, you're almost convinced or you believe that we don't even have the ability
to wrap our mind around the idea
to or connect or to interact, or so like all of the man-made versions of God are all bullshit, and there is one, but we haven't found him. We haven't
Alanis
connected.
Morissette.
That's basically what being an agnostic is.
Yeah.
But then there's other people that are like, no, technically I like believe in like the normal God that everyone believes in, and yeah, I believe in Jesus, but I don't go to church. I don't do these things. I don't do. That's me, right? So like, I barely even call myself a Christian.
See, I
anymore.
thought that you were. I don't want to say hardcore like an insult, but I thought that you were really into that.
I am, but I changed the way I phrase it because religion is an institution created by man surrounding a faith, and modern day Christianity and the church is almost exactly what Jesus rebelled against back in the day. It's a corrupt organization and institution that is more about taking than it is actually spreading the word and wisdom of God. It's filled with a bunch of flawed men passing their interpretations, posing as being holy, and it's disgusting. And so I study the teachings of Jesus very heavily, and I also believe in like the 10 Commandments, and I don't really believe in any of the other shit anymore because it's all man. I mean, I do believe in a lot of the stories in the Bible. I believe there's a lot of it that is allegorical. I believe some of it is kind of literal. And I think there's a lot of important history in there, but I take serious issue with the denial of science.
Yeah.
Because I'm of the camp that science is merely the blueprint of how he did it. And the more we learn about science and about how the universe and just how insane it all is, the more and more it seems to me like there's a designer and a creator.
Yeah.
Whereas other people are like, mathematically, it's just not there. It's not, and I'm like, dude, fuck that, dude. Fuck your math, man. Like, the fact that you even have the ability to the fact that the human has, there's so many things. I was just thinking about this. The fact that the Earth has been around as long as it has, and has had as many extinction level events as it's had. However, coincidentally, man has had just long enough to evolve so intelligently that we have the ability to calculate mathematically, not just debate philosophically, about the existence of God.
Yeah.
To me, that's the proof of God. The fact that all of these coincidences, because, dude, like, you look at our little blip, and it's like, dude, there are super volcanoes that should have gone off and killed everyone on the planet already. The amount of asteroids we've been able to just fucking barely dodge.
Oh, Bruce Willis. Come on now.
Come on, man. And I'm talking real shit. Like, real asteroids where it's like, man, seriously, like, the clocks are all due. They're all way past due. And for us to have all of these coincidences to where, like, just now we're fucking really seriously able to start considering colonizing another planet.
Yeah.
Like, within 100 years. Like, come on, man. That's insane. Like, think of all the other billions and billions and billions of life forms on this planet since it's been around to now that have lived, died, evolved, gone extinct. and we're the only ones to do that shit. And as far as we can tell, there is no one within reach that is anything like us on any other planet. We got this little jewel sitting out there in the middle of this abyss. Come on. To me, you want to talk about math? The odds of probability for this being random?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Like, really? Really? That's how you want to look at that math? Because to me, that looks like it's like we're in a fish tank.
Mm-hmm.
And we're the only fucking we're the only bit of moss in the bottom of it. The rest of it's all barren. Somebody put that there, man.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's just my that's me being on mushrooms.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I don't know, dude.
I'm a big fan of science. I'm fascinated by it, and I think that, you know, to be able to look up in the sky and think to yourself, are those actually stars that are how many, you know, thousands of millions of miles away, or are they just fucking pinholes in a box, and that person decides when the fucking flashlight goes over the hole that creates the sun?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's that type deep intellectual shit. And this takes me back to standing in the middle of the forest up north in Grand Rapids, smoked out of my mind, going, whoa, because it was nothing but stars. Coolest moment.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
You know, but it makes you kind of trip out a little bit, like, you know, is one man actually capable of creating something? All this, okay, is it a test? Is technology, the stuff that you guys are watching us on and watching us through, is this God's way of testing us to see if we can come back to where we were before technology took over? Because we're technical youth. We were born into it. Our older siblings, or maybe even parents, they were born while it was being born. You know?
Right.
So for us to,
I mean, and now the kids nowadays, fuck.
Dude, I mean, they're operating iPads, they're doing shit that us kids didn't do. But that's the thing, though, is that we did actual hands-on learning. We didn't sit in front of a screen and fuck our eyes up. You know? It's the same thing as the parenting concept. Oh, here's an iPad. Go be a vegetable.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yep.
Go play on your bike and skin your damn knees up. Do something. Become something. You know?
Right.
Maybe you'll be the next Evel Knievel. That'd be kind of cool. I'm just saying, you know?
Right.
Guy had a fucking motorcycle and a suit.
Yeah.
But it's just it's crazy, the evolution idea, you know, how we've evolved to where we're at. But now I feel like we're on a decline because of the way that we're acting towards each other and just the separation.
I think we're in a dark age. That's what I think. I think we're in a dark age, and I think we're going to have a renaissance. I just don't know when it is. And I've been thinking about this for a while. It's interesting you brought that up and you said it that way. Because I think we've entered an intellectual dark age.
Yep.
And an emotional dark age as a society, as a world. The whole PC culture, everything's offensive. Like,
yes, you can't say anything without pissing somebody off.
Like, you know, and like going kind of back to the political shit we were talking about.
Yep.
Like the taxes and some of the stuff we talked about before the podcast. Like all these people that say, you know, you should be willing to pay more taxes and you should be willing to give up all of this because so many other people have so little.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed, man? Because I've been thinking about this for a while and I finally got a way to say it. That's really easy to say when you never had nothing.
Yeah.
Like when you've been in a spot where you've had nothing and you had to scratch and claw. And when I say scratch and claw, I'm not talking about pulling other people down. I'm not talking about taking food off other people's table or stealing or fucking over anybody. I'm talking about survival, success, just getting somewhere.
Yep.
Where finally you fucking 20 years later, 10 years later, even 5 years later, I'm going in reverse on that for a reason because it doesn't really matter how much time you spend.
Yeah.
Whether it's 1 year or 20 years, like when you put in that effort and you come from nothing and you finally get something and then someone else comes along and says you need to give that up because you're X privilege, your male privilege, your white privilege, whatever. It's like, here's what I figured out. That's really easy to say when you haven't had to fight for anything.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Yeah, actually, well, I'll explain my deal here. So
I ain't never had shit given to me.
Well, and see, that's the thing too, is that I was raised in a lower.
I've been helped, but I've never had anything given to me.
Yeah,
all I've been given are opportunities.
Yeah,
and when I failed, I was fired or gotten rid of or replaced.
Yep.
Bands, jobs, friendships, actual relationships like with chicks.
I mean, I've been in my shit situations in life where I got roped into the we have to lay you off in 2008. Lost my truck. Had to move back home with mom and dad. Had to suck it up. Had to deal with it. Was what it was. No changing it. Changed who I was, though, in a good way. Humbled me. Had to go back to an old 95 F-150 driving that gas guzzler around. Temp jobs. Finally landed a gig. You know what I mean? Like, went through that trial and tribulation of you felt so good about getting that truck. And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, it's taken from you. Everything that you felt so good about, gone. When it comes to someone coming to me and saying, you make too much, we need to tax you on it so we can give it to these people, doesn't work with me. It's the same equivalent if somebody asked me this. If somebody breaks into my garage and takes something of mine, would I shoot them? Yes. Why? Because I worked my ass off for that. Everyone in this world, yes, I understand there's people that are suffering.
And we're not even necessarily musing on the idea of somebody stealing your shit.
No,
I'm talking about the philosophical idea of like, no, you have too much. You need to give some of that or be taxed higher.
Yes.
Or what, just these absurd arguments I'm hearing from people. And then they're like, well, I'm okay with paying higher taxes. And I'm like, how? I can't afford shit. Like, how do you have so much money that you're okay with the government taking any more of it? Like, how the fuck
can
you afford that?
That's where mine is based
at
off
any income level.
Yeah, that's where mine is based off of, because I look at the way that the government is fucking over our vets. I look at the way they fuck over the homeless. Why are there homeless hanging out in downtown Minneapolis right now and businesses are shutting down?
Because apparently you can't move them without giving them a place to live. And it's like, since when is it perfectly legal to be homeless and fucking loiter wherever you want? Like, if motherfuckers start setting up camp in my front yard, I'm not going to shoot them, but I'm definitely going to go kick the shit out of them. Like, get the fuck out of here.
But it's the fact.
And I don't give a fuck if you're fucking homeless or on drugs or not. Go fucking sleep somewhere else. And certainly don't fucking... I paid for this shit.
Yep.
I worked really hard, so I didn't have to be homeless. And I fucking made sure to buy a 4-bedroom house. So if my boys are fucking ever in a spot where they're going to be homeless, no, they can come fucking stay with me. That's why Kate and I bought a 4-bedroom house instead of a 1 or a 2-bedroom, because we're going to have kids. No, we bought a 4-bedroom just in case, right? Because all I can control and take care of is me and my wife, right? Same thing for herself and me. And then the only alternative we have is, if we have enough, we can take care of a couple more people for a short period of time. That doesn't mean that I have too much, and it doesn't mean that somebody else deserves what I have more than me.
Absolutely.
And if some fucking homeless guy is on my front fucking lawn, I'm gonna go kick the shit out of him with his tent and tell him to get the fuck out of here. Well, and if there's 20 of them on the fucking corner in the parking lot, are you fucking kidding me? Because you've seen there's that clinic at the end of the road, and then there's that little tiny parking lot right there. If there's 20 homeless people setting up a little fucking homeless camp in there, fuck that.
Well, and that's why I say, that's why our city governments and or the whole state government needs to step up and do their part. If there's an issue here or something that could be done further to
it's called open the economy. It's just called stop shutting everything down because of COVID and allow most of these motherfuckers to go back to work. That's what it is. That's what people don't understand when they want to talk about white privilege. Go look at how many homeless people are in Minneapolis right now. They're not all black. They're not all Latino.
Also,
there's a lot of white people that are homeless, and what that means is that when those people lost their jobs, they don't have parents, they don't have friends, they don't have family to go move in with. They lost
the suicide
their job,
rate is huge,
and they're fucking homeless. It's that quick. That's how thin society has been for so long.
Oh yeah,
that's what we got to figure out. Let's not figure out how to fix homelessness. Let's figure out homelessness. Let's fucking get people jobs. And how do we get people's jobs? Get the fucking government out of the way, because the government has shown that they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you being able to pay your bills. They just want to be able to say that you didn't die from a virus. If you die from starvation, if you die from being stabbed because you're homeless and you're living in a fucking tent village, they don't care about that.
No.
That's not a priority. If you commit suicide because you're fucking depressed, because your wife left you because you lost your job and now she's not fucking happy and she took the kids and she moved to Colorado with her fucking parents and you're now homeless and you're fucked because your parents are dead and you weren't a trust fund baby and you worked really hard and did everything right and now it's all fucking gone because you're non-essential. Dude, they don't care about that. They only care about being able to say you didn't die because of COVID.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Well,
dude.
and that's what I was going to say. Also, is that the division. You have different scenarios of homelessness. All right. You have the people that, like what you're talking about, displaced because of losing their job, whatever scenario it is that got them to that point. And there's the willingness to want to get out of that hole. Then there's the other side where the chemical dependency and or just the comfortability of the situation they're in. I mean, I can't foresee sleeping on a park bench or on the grass being comfortable by any means. You know?
Right.
I mean, I love a lot of people. There are some people in this foul fucking world that I could care two shits less. Hitler, just saying, not a friend of mine. All right? Kind of a big deal.
Right.
So he kind of did some things. But I'm just saying that, you know, in the grand scheme of everything, when it comes to when I wake up in the morning, my first priority is my wife, my dog, my cats, my house, my family, my friends. You know, it's just one of those things. And what happens outside of that,
your tools,
is out of my control. Oh, you know,
tools are valuable.
But it's just that, you know, and the things that I own, you know, people may be thinking I'm materialistic on here or whatnot, but no, I work.
Those are the things you worked hard for.
That every one of those tools, these hands hurt right now. That's why I went like that. My hands are killing me, you know, because that's what I do every day for a living, you know? So it's just, it's a hard debate to have sometimes, you know, between people and whatnot. But at the same time, you know, like I said, if somebody tried taking my stuff, they'd be done.
Right.
Hey, same thing in the house. You come in my house, done deal.
Yeah, because it's unreasonable for me to sit there and ask to have a reasonable conversation with an intruder. Like, that's how you get killed, is like they're already in a place they're not supposed to be and they know it.
They gave up they gave up the value of their life as soon as they made that decision to turn that doorknob or break that window. They gave it up. They forgot all about what their self-worth was. They don't care about themselves at that point because they don't know what they're getting into as soon as they cross that threshold. That's my thought. If you don't care about yourself, why should I care about you? You're here to inflict harm if you don't get what you want. Done. All right. But unfortunately, in this state, they don't believe that we have the right to do that. We don't have a right to stand our ground. We don't have a castle doctrine. We don't have any of the luxuries that some of the other states have.
Right.
You know, I literally
need to reconsider that shit politically.
Damn right.
Which is why, again, going back to what we were talking about, like, I'm not excited about voting out all the Republicans.
No.
Because, like, the Republicans are the only ones helping me fucking defend myself, because we got Democrats that want to both defund the police and take away the guns, which I'm not exactly in a spot where that sounds like a good idea.
No.
That combination sounds like fucking disaster. You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, there's got to be a balance. And that's what sucks, is like, as bad as one party is, we need them both.
Yes.
Because they both are protecting certain rights. And unfortunately, the other party wants to alienate those same rights. And same thing, we need the Democratic Party because they're the only ones logically saying, no. Like, the individual citizen should be able to decide what they do with their own body. Yep. So I'm referencing abortion on a common level, but that also attributes to, like, tattoos, piercings, drugs, alcohol, things like that. And people go, oh, that's insane. And it's like, no, it's not, dude. Prohibition was a thing. Marijuana prohibition is still a thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Sorry, I'm not trying to.
And at some point in time, there's there's people and their religions that if they had it their way,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to do anything at all. If we allowed the Christians to decide whether we can do abortions, well, then if someday the Muslims were in charge, they could decide that women can't leave the house without their face covered. So it's like, no. The Democrats and the liberals are the only ones defending the separation between church and state, because that's really where that argument, for the most part, is coming from when it comes to the abortion thing. Is it's a religious argument for the most part. I actually heard the best argument I ever heard for a guy being pro-life was actually from an atheist, but he's like a hardcore libertarian, and he goes, no, it's literally the first word of the Constitution: life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. He's like, you gotta let them be born, man. It's that simple. And I was like, wow, that is like the most simple and profound pro-life argument I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's literally the first word of the Constitution.
You know, that's the
you know what I mean?
the
but again,
pro-life.
the reason I'm still pro-choice is because it's debatable when that cell splits from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, and then transfers from whatever that is to a fetus to a person. That's not my body. That's why I'm liberal on this, because it's not my body. Therefore, it's not my right to decide because if it is wrong, if there is a God, he'll settle that score with you when you die. That's something you got to figure out. That is none of my business.
The pro-life, pro-choice and all that has always been I've always leaned more towards.
How many times have you been pregnant? I'm just kidding.
Well, let's talk about that.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not going to get into too much description, but to sum it up, I mean, prior to, even before mine and my wife's adventure, I was pro-life, and my wife and I have had difficulty trying to have a kid, and we took avenues to try to help along and everything, and it is the most heartbreaking thing to go from X amount eggs down to X amount, down to your fingers across for that last one, and then no. Oof. And it's happened twice now, and it's absolutely heartbreaking, because I would probably.
You have kids now?
No.
Okay.
Because
me and my wife are trying too.
Oh yeah,
and we haven't had any luck. I think it's me. It's me. I'm convinced, because I should have like 19 kids by now. With as irresponsible as I was before I got married.
No comment.
So between that and the fact that we've genuinely been trying, I'm starting to think I got some issue. I read up on it.
Yeah.
75% of dudes, it's like a simple surgery, because you have some sort of blockage, and it's like a quick little 15-minute zip, zip, you're in and out, and you're like, it's a 2-day recovery and you're good to go. It's very common. So I'm like, man, there's still hope. There's still hope, because dude, if I find out my guys don't swim, I might kill myself.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that you go in and get that stuff looked at and everything, and they'll let you know. But it's I would be
joking.
You're cool. It's cool, man.
I just said I was going to kill myself on my own podcast. Had to clear that up. That's a joke.
Yeah, you got to do it. No, what I've realized is that
it would be incredibly depressing.
Well, it would. It's hard to sit back and not feel angry about the option of pro-choice, because when you try to adopt, and some may have different information on this, this is all that I know. This is what I know from our own inquiries, is that you basically have to have $50,000 sitting there on the table. And it's not guaranteed.
It's unreasonable.
It's a fucking joke.
It's insane.
It's an absolute fucking joke that when you have two people that I want to be a grandparent, right? The only thing that I have close to having kids right now, aside from my 2.5-year-old 95-pound dog, is we have neighbor kids. And these kids, every time they see me or Summit or my wife, they always say our name and wave at us. They come over to the fence. It's the coolest thing ever, man. And I try to think of them as my kids in a sense. And I told Chris and his wife, and I said, I'm here for you guys. You need anything, if I see anybody fucking around your property, anything like that, I'm here. It's just one of those, you hunker down with your neighbors, you join that tight-knit community kind of thing. But you know, I would love to be a grandparent at some point, and it's such a fucking slap in the face to people that are actually trying, you know, to see what these people at these adoption agencies are charging to adopt a kid that doesn't probably have a parent out there that actually gives a shit. Maybe
And you know what those insane prices also drive? Human trafficking.
You got it. Yep, human trafficking. Let's put it this way: fertility. Okay, trying to have a child, cancer. Two of the most ugliest fucking things that the medical industry has clinged on to, and they have. Oh God, what's the word I'm going for? They have. I can't think of it right now. Exploited it. They've exploited the living shit out of it.
Yep.
They want you to go through all the radiation. They want you to go through the chemo. They want you to go through all those fertility treatments. There was a woman that went through a total of 9 fertility treatments. All right? 9. It is under $20,000 to go through this. All right? The one way that we were going to go. And it's insane that she was able to afford that. You do the math on that, 20, 40, 60, 81. That's $200,000, right?
Yeah, 180.
That's a little under what our house is.
Right.
Look what we got. We got a house payment. Sweet.
Right.
It leaks. Cool. It's like pissing a diaper.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, that subject's always been hard for me, especially going through what we've been through. You know, I mean, foster care or being a foster parent, not guaranteed. Could go take it right away from you. You know, get all attached like that. It's no different than building a relationship with my dog.
Mm-hmm.
Be so attached, know the quirks, know the ins and outs, know what that ding dong does once in a while. You know, It's just, I don't know, man. It's that's why I have gotten to the point where I don't take shit anymore. I don't take things so serious. I try to be as laid back as I can, and I always try to remember that, you know, like Bob Marley, man, 3 Little Birds. That song always resonates to me. It always sits in my head because everything's going to be all right. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I say, I always tell people, you know what? If I go tomorrow, I'm happy with the way I am, the way my life is. I'm grateful to have this much opportunity. If I get a few more years or several, fucking right. That's cool. That's a gift right there. Gary Busey said it best. The past is history. The future's a mystery. And today, it's a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Yep.
Man ain't all fucking nuts.
Yep.
You know?
That's beautiful, dude. Let's wrap this up right there. That's a perfect spot to wrap it up. Where can people find your shit? I mean, I did put it in the description, but just remind them again.
All right, let's do this. We're going to talk about Facebook. Facebook.com/HexVortices. HEXVORTICES. You can also type that name in on,
YouTube?
Instagram, YouTube, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. If you want to buy it directly, get a hold of us on our Facebook. We can make sure to hook you up with a CD, maybe even do a package deal for you. And then if you guys are interested in any of my own personal pages, Thrash Metal Studio or Andrew the Mechanic on YouTube.
Beautiful, man. All right, guys, thank you very much. Dude, this was a blast, dude. Let's do this again.
Absolutely.
That's fucking great.
Fuck yeah, we can keep it.